Ozora Tsubasa's mom bids her husband goodbye for a work trip while their little son Tsubasa plays outside with his football. Just then, Tsubasa follows his ball to the busy road and a truck rushes at him with full speed. 10 years later, Tsubasa's family moves to Nankatsu and Tsubasa rushes into the town with his football rather than helping his mom out. His mom recalls how the football acted as a cushion when the truck collided with him in the past and how football ultimately saved his life. Tsubasa rushes through the town and finally reaches the primary school. He runs through all different sports fields and reaches the soccer field where he finds two teams arguing with each other. One of the team captain Wakabayashi challenges others and tells them that he will give up the field if any sports team can throw a ball inside the goal. He takes his position and the others soon start throwing different balls like football, rugby, and handball at him, but he blocks all of their shots. He even blocks a javelin, after which everybody gives up and leaves the field to his team. Tsubasa then asks one of the players Ishizaki about Wakabayashi's house and he reveals that he wants to challenge him, so Ishizaki takes him to a hill to show him Wakabayashi's house. He then writes down his name and kicks the ball hard towards the house, and surprisingly Wakabayashi catches it. He reads the challenge on the ball but doesn't believe anybody could kick the ball from so far away. A drunken guy arrives at his door in curiosity as well, and Wakabayashi then goes to his school field to search for Tsubasa. Ishizaki motivates Tsubasa to fight for his side and they both go to the field. Both Tsubasa and Wakabayashi meet each other across the road and Tsubasa issues a challenge to him by kicking a ball under a running bus, which shocks him. Wakabayashi asks Tsubasa to dribble past his B team members instead if he wants him to accept his challenge, and Tsubasa agrees. At the field, Wakabayashi even gives him a spare pair of cleats to wear, and before the match, Tsubasa tells the ball that he really wants to win against Wakabayashi, who is the last national champion as well. The others think he is loony for talking to his ball and they all rush at him. He then becomes speed as he rushes through all the players one by one. He jumps over the defenders and kicks the ball towards the goal, but Wakabayashi barely manages to block his shot. Suddenly, the drunken man rushes to the ground and kicks the ball back to Tsubasa. The others recognize him as the Brazil national player Roberto, while Tsubasa headbutts the ball, which goes in the goal. Wakabayashi tries to stop the ball but he ends up colliding with the goal post. He then challenges Tsubasa to score at least one goal against him in an inter-high tournament, and Tsubasa gladly accepts. He also lets Ishizaki's team use the field, and afterwards Ishizaki explains to him that his school Nankatsu is sworn enemy to Wakabayashi's team, which is called Shutetsu, and that both their schools compete against each other in annual inter-high festival. They both start to play together and Roberto then greets the boys. He offers to become their coach, but Ishizaki believes he is just some ordinary drunkard. To prove him wrong, Roberto rushes through the field and makes an overhead kick that tears through the goal net. Ishizaki immediately accepts his offer while Tsubasa tries to imitate his cool move. He keeps trying while Roberto thinks about how Tsubasa resembles his dad, Captain Ozora. Finally, after failing multiple times, Tsubasa finally manages to make an overhead kick and Roberto rushes to hug him. The next day, Tsubasa's mom tells him that she managed to get him enrolled into Nankatsu even though he switched from Shutetsu at the last moment, and he thinks about how he couldn't have played against Wakabayashi if he had joined Shutetsu. Roberto enters the room and his mom hands him a letter sent by his dad, in which his dad explains that he arranged for Roberto to live with them so Tsubasa can learn from the best. They eat breakfast together, and after a while, the players from the Nankatsu team gather at the field, but they refuse to believe that one person managed to beat Wakabayashi along with his B team. Tsubasa arrives at the field after some time and Ishizaki introduces him to all the players. A small glasses kid named Manabu asks him if he will be joining their team, so Tsubasa tells them about his transfer, which makes them all very happy. They all start practicing together, but another team enters the field. Manabu explains that they are a pretty good team named Nishigaka from a neighboring town, and the other team's captain named Urabe says that they have come as promised. Roberto arrives and explains that it was his idea to have the two teams play against each other. The kids wonder why Roberto is drinking in broad daylight, and Urabe roasts the Nankatsu team for having an alcoholic coach. The teams prepare before the match when Ishizaki decides to be the captain like always, and Roberto tells them to go all out so he can see their current level. The match begins with the Nankatsu players having a hard time touching the ball, and Wakabayashi watches the whole thing from afar. Tsubasa easily steals it and scores a goal from across the field. He starts directing everyone as they continue to score, with the last one being scored by Ishizaki through a header, which surprises him too, and they manage to win the match with a 3-goal lead. The next day, Tsubasa heads off to his new school along with his football, and Roberto looks at the medical report on his desk. Ishizaki brags to all of his classmates about how they beat the Nishigaka team, but they refuse to believe him, so he shows them the scorecard and he tells everyone about Tsubasa, who scored 4 goals while he scored 1. The kids notice Tsubasa entering the school while dribbling through the other students, and he arrives at the class where the teacher asks him why he brought a football, so Tsubasa tells him how it's his friend. The entrance ceremony begins where the teachers encourage all the students to practice very hard to beat Shitetsu in the upcoming Inter-High tournament. All of the different clubs prepare for the Inter-High between the two schools, which is currently at a draw with 12 wins for both the schools. At the house, Tsubasa's mom finds Roberto's report, which shocks her. Roberto thinks about how the report said that he could become blind if he suffers a slight blow to the head due to retinal detachment. He meets up with the boys at the field and makes them take part in a practice match against Tsubasa as a welcoming part. The cheering squad also arrives to look at the new football club that Ishizaki had been bragging about the whole day, and they wonder how Tsubasa will play against them all alone. The match begins and Tsubasa runs around to steal the ball, but they manage to keep it away from him for a bit until he does a perfect tackle. They try to steal it back and he dribbles through them all, but they continue running after him. He manages to score very easily and the captain of the cheering squad gets impressed by him. On the other side, Wakabayashi also prepares for the Inter-High so he can redeem for his previous loss. Back on the field, practice finally ends and Roberto tells the other kids to become friends with the ball just like Tsubasa is by taking it with them everywhere, just like Tsubasa does it. The kids try to return to their homes, but they have a hard time controlling the ball. A kid called Masaki Teru plays with his friends and he tells them that he will be leaving soon due to his dad's job. They feel bad for him since he has moved 30 times in elementary school. Tsubasa practices with Roberto in the early morning, and after they return home, Roberto tells his mom that he came to Japan to have his eyes tested on Captain Ozora's recommendation and that he plans to retire officially from the Brazil team. All of Tsubasa's teammates dribble their ball all the way to school while Manabu struggles to dribble properly. He arrives late in his class, and after the class he tells the boys that he overheard that Shitetsu is going to have a practice match with another school called Mizukoshi. The boys visit Shitetsu to watch the match and the huge soccer field, and Shitetsu shocks them. Urabe is also in the audience and he tells them that Wakabayashi is practicing by himself at his home. The Shitetsu team's forward player Kisugi then scores another goal and Tsubasa declares to beat Shitetsu. Meanwhile, Wakabayashi ruthlessly practices at his home as 2 players keep kicking the ball at him. Ishizaki thinks about how he is a loser compared to the Shitetsu team and he decides to grow some balls. The next morning when Tsubasa is practicing with Roberto, he shows up to the practice with the whole team. Soon Roberto starts training them roughly day after day, and even little Manabu starts to improve slowly. One day before the Inter-High match, the whole school bustles with energy and Roberto makes Tsubasa practice as the goalie. Tsubasa struggles to catch any of his shots, and afterwards they both discuss how some shots are more difficult for a goalie to stop than the others. At the same time, Tsubasa and Roberto pass by Misaki, who wonders who Tsubasa is. Meanwhile, Wakabayashi keeps up his practice against 2 high school players. The Inter-High between the 2 schools begins as different clubs battle it out, and the football team finally arrives at the school along with their balls. They decide to go look at other competitions because their match is at last, while on the other side, Tsubasa's mom finds Roberto sleeping on the benches and he explains that he feels like he is playing when he sees Tsubasa on the field. The track and field competition begins, but they all get shocked when they see Tsubasa running on the track along with his ball, and he even manages to win while dribbling it. Misaki practices his football while his father tries to paint while at the field. Different teams arrive to see Wakabayashi play, but Urabe tells them that he might lose this time, which shocks them. The result of all the previous competitions comes down to a draw, and the students realize that victory will be decided through the football match, so they all decide to go watch it. The boys get ready for the match and step onto the pitch, but they get nervous as soon as they see the large crowd. Roberto motivates them and Tsubasa notices that Wakabayashi has not arrived yet. The Shitetsu team fails to find him, so they decide to start the match without waiting for him. He arrives at the field after some time, and the cheering captain notices Misaki dribbling just like Tsubasa, so she takes him to see the match. She starts cheering for Tsubasa as soon as she arrives, and Wakabayashi gives his teammates a motivational speech, but they get shocked when they see Tsubasa playing as a defender, and the match finally begins. The Nankatsu players try to take the ball, but the Shitetsu players' excellent passing prevents them from doing so. They reach near the Nankatsu box, but Tsubasa easily steals the ball from them. He quickly dribbles through a few players before sending a long pass to Ishizaki, who shoots the ball towards Wakabayashi, but he easily stops it with one hand while glaring at Tsubasa. Wakabayashi kicks the ball back to his team and the forward players launch an attack. They manage to break through the defense, and just when one of them makes the final shot, Tsubasa jumps in and stops his shot. Once again the players rush forward and make their shot, but this time Tsubasa stops the ball with an overhead kick. Misaki notices that Tsubasa's playing style resembles a forward player and Nankatsu's players try hard to stop Nankatsu's forward players. Wakabayashi becomes furious, and when Ishizaki rushes towards him to score a goal, he runs ahead and steals the ball from under him. He then makes a long pass to Tsubasa, who receives the challenge and starts dribbling the ball towards him. Captain Ozora joins the audience and tells Roberto that it's impossible to expect Tsubasa to defend only. Tsubasa runs through all of Shutetsu's players and kicks the ball, but Wakabayashi manages to deflect the ball. Tsubasa gets a corner kick and he uses this chance to make a curve shot. Wakabayashi thinks that he's passing the ball to Ishizaki, so he runs ahead and the ball hits the goal post instead, due to which Tsubasa fails to score. The first half ends and Tsubasa welcomes his dad back. Both coaches motivate their team and Wakabayashi begs his team to at least score once. The second half begins and right off the bat Shutetsu launches a rough offense as they steal the ball from Ishizaki. They rush to the goal with a combination play, but Nankatsu's players manage to kick the ball out. Shutetsu's defender then makes a long pass to his teammate, who jumps in the air to tackle the ball. Tsubasa also jumps up to block his shot and the ball gets passed to Shutetsu's forward player, who uses the chance to score a goal. Tsubasa switches his position to the front and rushes through all the players towards Wakabayashi, who manages to stop his shot. He then steals the ball again and makes a very long shot. Wakabayashi easily catches the ball once again, but Tsubasa steals it once more and passes to his teammates, who move it around until it gets crossed into the penalty box. Tsubasa heads it into an open spot, but the ball bounces away instead of going into the net. Wakabayashi notices that the ball hit a hole in the grass and he orders his teammates to execute the birdcage, so the Shutetsu players start passing defensively to waste more time. Ishizaki tells Tsubasa to go forward as he will pass the ball to him after stealing it, but the second half almost ends, so all the Nankatsu players start attacking and they finally manage to get it. They pass the ball to Tsubasa, who moves forward all alone while dribbling through several players. He nutmegs the last defender and takes a shot from right outside the penalty box, but Wakabayashi manages to narrowly deflect it. The ball hits the crossbar and goes into the air, allowing Tsubasa to execute the overhead kick, which he uses to kick the ball back into the net. The second half whistle blows as the score comes to a draw, so the referee announces that they will be going into overtime to decide the winner. During the break, Ishizaki falls down in pain due to an injury he got while trying to steal the ball, and Wakabayashi tries to leave the pitch after losing the contest, but his personal coach slaps him for trying to run away. Misaki suggests that he can play in Ishizaki's place, and he shows off his skills by playing against the captains from the two other teams. Wakabayashi regains composure and the match resumes again. Misaki and Tsubasa become unstoppable due to their perfect synchronization, but Wakabayashi manages to stop them. Shutetsu gets a corner in which Wakabayashi suddenly comes forward and makes a long shot into the goal. Nankatsu does not give up and Misaki and Tsubasa reach Shutetsu's penalty box again, but Wakabayashi manages to catch the ball before it gets to their feet. Shutetsu tries to score, but Misaki blocks it. He dribbles past all the players and passes the ball to Tsubasa, who heads it back to him. Wakabayashi tries to cover Misaki, but he heads it back to Tsubasa again, who heads it into the goal. The match almost ends, but they attack once again and Wakabayashi tries to catch the ball while Tsubasa heads, but the ball goes out of bounds after hitting the crossbar. The final whistle blows, so the inter-high ends as a draw and the crowd cheers for both teams. After a few days, the Nankatsu players wonder who is better between Misaki and Tsubasa, and Ishizaki tells them that the city is creating its local team to represent the city in the national tournament. They all get excited for the tryouts, and on the other side, Roberto reveals how Tsubasa's dad saved him when he tried to kill himself. He tells them that he has another request while Wakabayashi comes running to the field. He asks everyone if they knew about Roberto already and reveals how Roberto is retiring due to retinal detachment, which leaves them shocked. They all go to meet him and Tsubasa overhears Roberto asking his parents to let Tsubasa go to Brazil with him. He asks Roberto about the retirement, which Roberto confirms, and he agrees to go to Brazil with him after the national tournament. The tryouts for the city team begins and a few guys from Shutetsu get selected along with Urabe, while Tsubasa, Misaki and Ishizaki also get selected. Another player named Hyuga Kojiro plays extremely aggressively, which his teammates support, so he tells them to reach the finals without him if his way of playing is wrong. Meanwhile, Ishizaki trains extremely hard to get selected in the final 15 squad of the city, while Wakabayashi gets injured during a practice match but does not tell anyone. Misaki tells his team about all the great players out there, including Hyuga from Maywa FC. At night, Roberto makes Tsubasa promise not to come back to Japan until he turns pro and reminds him that he needs to win the national tournament if he wants to go. During the selection for the final 15, Hyuga suddenly appears and easily scores a goal on Wakabayashi after bashing through all the defenders. The boys later see Wakabayashi coming out of a clinic and learn that he was injured. Hyuga goes to work and goes back home to take care of his siblings while Tsubasa's dad tells him to score a hat trick on the first match if he wants to go to Brazil. Hyuga tells his teammates to play without him and they discuss that Hyuga wants to reach the finals so he can get scouted because he wants to relieve the pressure on his mother. Tsubasa scores a hat trick as promised during the first match of the tournament and they continue to breeze through all the matches going forward. Maywa FC barely wins the quarterfinals without Hyuga, but they have a hard time during the semifinals match to become the prefectural representative. They fall behind by 2 goals in the first half, so Hyuga decides to enter the field along with another teammate named Takashi. The boys manage to reach the semifinals for their Prefecture 2 and Wakabayashi decides to sit out this match against Shimada FC so he can heal properly before the finals. The match begins and the boys start attacking, but they notice Shimada FC holding their defensive line. They send a pass to Tsubasa but it gets intercepted. The opponent suddenly launches a counterattack by shooting a long pass forward and the Nankatsu goalie gets caught by surprise. He moves forward a little too much and concedes a goal which breaks Nankatsu's no-goal streak. On the other side, Maywa FC manages to end the first half 3 goals behind the other team and Hyuga finally steps in along with Takashi. Back at Nankatsu's side, they fail to score despite several attempts and the first half ends. The coach tells them to pass more to Tsubasa in the second half and it starts raining. Meanwhile, Takashi dribbles past several players and crosses to Hyuga who scores his 4th goal. The final whistle blows and the match ends with a score of 4-3 with Maywa FC going forward to their prefectural final while Nankatsu FC continues to fail due to the rain. They suffer another goal to Shimada's long passes and Tsubasa takes control by acting as the playmaker. They start passing around with Tsubasa as the center and he manages to score the first goal through a volley shot. They keep the momentum going and manage to score another goal soon, so Shimada decides to go on the offensive. The goalie manages to save it and Tsubasa scores another goal to finish his hat trick in a row right before the match ends. Nankatsu FC proceeds to the finals with a score of 3-2 and the boys start celebrating like they just won the nationals. The day of the finals arrives against Shimizu FC who strategizes on how they must thoroughly mark Tsubasa at every step to win the match. Both teams step onto the field and the match finally begins, but the Shimizu players double-team him right from the start. They manage to steal the ball and perform a fast counterattack while evading Nankatsu's defenders. They shoot the ball at Wakabayashi but he manages to save it. He sends the ball flying towards Tsubasa who wins the header against the 2 players and passes to Misaki who returns it with a one-touch pass. Tsubasa takes a long shot but it narrowly misses after hitting the crossbar and the Shimizu players decide to use 3 players against him instead of just 2. The cheer captain notices another girl cheering for Tsubasa and learns that her name is Yayoi, who used to be in Tsubasa's previous school. Tsubasa gets the ball and he passes to his teammates who attempt a goal, but the opponent keeper named Kawakami manages to save it. They start their counterattack and try to score a goal, but Wakabayashi does not let the ball through either. The second half begins and the Shimizu players deliberately target Wakabayashi by making use of his previous injury. He manages to save it once again but falls down while kicking and the opposing players use the chance to shoot it, but Misaki manages to save it. The ball goes to Shimizu again and they shoot it once more, but Wakabayashi saves it despite the injury. He shoots it towards Tsubasa who dribbles it past the defenders before kicking it into the net. A few minutes later, he manages to score another one by doing a sliding kick while on the other side. Hyuga tries to find a genius player named Jun. Wakabayashi saves another goal and passes to Tsubasa who makes a long shot into the goal right before the match ends. Meanwhile, Misaki's old team named Furano FC also manages to qualify for the nationals and soon, Misaki's dad tells him that they will be moving again after the nationals. Wakabayashi's doctor advises him not to play in the nationals due to his injury and Roberto asks Tsubasa if he really wants to go to Brazil even though his mom will be alone in Japan. Tsubasa replies that he still wants to go and Wakabayashi also appears to tell Tsubasa about his injury before asking him to win until they reach Maywa FC so he can have his revenge against Hyuga. The Nankatsu FC continues to practice without Wakabayashi and the coach chooses Tsubasa as the next captain until Wakabayashi returns. He returns home to tell his mom while Roberto wonders why he feels so bad about taking Tsubasa to Brazil even though the whole family is fine with it. A few days later, the team heads off for Tokyo to play in the nationals after a big see-off by the cheering squad. They arrive at Tokyo and encounter 2 twins passing to each other across the tracks while running from the train station security. They head towards the venue where Misaki encounters his old teammates and they all greet each other. Yayoi also appears and reveals that she is the manager of Mousashi FC before introducing the boys to Jun Misugi, captain of Mousashi FC. Another huge player from Naniwa FC named Nakanishi learns that Wakabayashi isn't coming and declares that he is the best keeper this time. They also notice the twins and Hyuga, and the group ballot begins as Nankatsu and Maywa get chosen in the same group. Wakabayashi learns of this and asks Tsubasa to win it no matter what, but gets extremely frustrated that he cannot play in the first match against Maywa FC. The cheering squad also heads to Tokyo along with the captain named Sanai by taking a lift in trucks. The opening ceremony takes place as all the teams arrive onto the field and Tsubasa leads the oath because he is the main character. The first match of the tournament between Nankatsu FC and Maywa FC is about to take place as the boys warm up while the Maywa FC team prepares to leave the locker room. All the other teams also appear to watch the two powerhouses go head-to-head, and the two finally meet on the field. Hyuga announces that Maywa FC will win the nationals and the match finally starts. Tsubasa instantly takes the ball to Hyuga and they both clash, but the ball ends up in the air. Nankatsu manages to retain possession, but still Takashi manages to defend the ball even without Hyuga. He dribbles past several players, but Misaki manages to steal the ball and sends a long pass to Tsubasa, who heads back to Hyuga instead of the goal. He suddenly does a heel lift over Hyuga and shoots a volley shot into the goal. The match resumes and Nankatsu steals the ball, but Hyuga stands still near the goal instead of moving. The other attacker shoots the ball and hits the post, but Hyuga still does not move. Tsubasa manages to get the ball and Hyuga starts rushing towards him before unleashing a diving tackle. Tsubasa fails to evade the tackle and falls to the ground, but no foul is called. Hyuga takes the ball and does a powerful long shot that goes into the net after hitting the keeper in the face. Nankatsu resumes its attack again, but the Maywa defenders deliberately foul him, so they get a free kick which Hyuga manages to block. He sends a long pass to Takashi, who does a long shot at the goal which the goalkeeper, Morisaki, fails to stop due to fear. During the next play, they kick towards him again, but Tsubasa blocks the ball and Hyuga tries to hit him in the face, but Tsubasa saves it with his face and tells Morisaki not to be scared of the ball, which helps him regain composure. Nankatsu begins its counterattack as Misaki and Tsubasa move through all the Maywa players by passing to each other. Hyuga tries to intercept a pass, but the ball spins to Tsubasa, who passes it back to the open Misaki, who shoots it into the net. The second half begins and Misaki manages to steal the ball right at the start. He dribbles through several players, but Hyuga manages to steal the ball back using a tackle and he kicks the ball into another Nankatsu player's stomach. He sends a pass to Takashi, who crosses it into the box and he kicks it into the net once more. The score becomes 3-2 and Nankatsu counterattacks as Misaki crosses to Tsubasa, who performs a diving header to score. The teams go back and forth just like this and the score ends up at 5 with 5 minutes left in the match. Takashi manages to steal the ball and crosses to Hyuga, who heads it in despite Tsubasa trying to block it. The game resumes, but Hyuga marks Tsubasa to prevent him from scoring and Maywa gains possession, but Morisaki manages to save a goal. He passes to Misaki, who sends a one-touch long pass ahead where Hyuga and Tsubasa clash again, but they both fall. Tsubasa instantly recovers and rushes to the goal as Hyuga chases after him, but he tries to tackle once again. Tsubasa manages to jump over it this time and shoots a volley which goes into the net. In the next play, Hyuga shoots from the middle and it hits the crossbar, but he manages to get the ball again. Tsubasa stands in his way and prevents him from shooting, but he slips, so Hyuga tries to shoot. Tsubasa instantly tackles him as the slip was a trap, but Takashi appears out of nowhere and shoots the ball into the net right before the final whistle blows. After the match, Hyuga thinks about how he lost against Tsubasa at the end, and a lady appears to scout him for Toho Academy. She tells him to win the tournament first to prove that he is better than Tsubasa if he wants the all-paid football scholarship, and she reminds him that they might end up clashing again with Nankatsu if they manage to advance. Nankatsu manages to regain their morale and wins by a margin of 9 goals against another team. They encounter the twins again from Hanawa FC and their match against another team begins, which the boys watch. The twins overwhelm the other team and later, Tsubasa tells Roberto how he cannot wait to play against them. Nankatsu manages to win the other matches too, while Hanawa manages to draw against Hyuga, which makes it that they need to beat Hanawa in the last match to proceed. The coach explains that they need to break the twins' combo to beat them, so leaves that to Misaki and Tsubasa, and on the other side, the scouts talk about all the good players they found along with how they want to see Nankatsu versus Maywa again. The next day, the final match of Group A begins and Misaki and Tsubasa instantly mark the twins, which prevents them from moving. Misaki manages to steal the ball and passes it forward, but the attackers get stuck due to Hanawa's strong defense. Tsubasa runs to the attack and instantly scores a goal, but the game remains stuck due to Hanawa's tight defense. As the second half begins, Hyuga reveals to his teammates that he deliberately tied with Hanawa to make it harder for Nankatsu to progress, and the twins stop sticking together as one of them sends a long pass forward while the other uses the goalpost to jump high. He heads the ball back to the other twin who shoots it into the net, but he falls on a defender who gets injured, so Ishizaki steps onto the field for the first time in a while. Ishizaki relays the coach's order to attack as usual, so as the match resumes, Misaki and Tsubasa start attacking again. Tsubasa tries to score a goal, but the ball gets deflected after hitting a defender, but this time, both the twins jump using the post and one of them shoots it in. Morisaki narrowly manages to save it, but Ishizaki accidentally scores an own goal while trying to clear it. The boys start scolding him, but Misaki stops them by revealing that he will be leaving after the tournament, so he wants to win it with them. The game resumes, but Tsubasa still gets marked, so the other attackers try to score but they fail. The twins almost get the ball again, but Ishizaki intercepts it and tries a long shot which heads straight towards the keeper. Misaki manages to redirect it into the net at the last moment, which ties the game. In the final 4 minutes, the twins get marked by 2 players each and they make a hasty pass which Misaki manages to intercept. He rushes forward and takes a shot, but the goalkeeper deflects it out, so Nankatsu gets a corner kick with 3 minutes remaining. The keeper manages to punch the ball away again, but Tsubasa appears out of nowhere and shoots it while the keeper is still down. A twin manages to block the ball and the game goes to 1 minute additional time. Tsubasa signals Misaki to send the ball up, so Misaki shoots it into the air and Tsubasa copies the twins by jumping into the air using the post. He performs an overhead kick and puts the ball into the net, which puts them into the lead again right before the final whistle blows. After the match, Misaki's old teammates arrive to congratulate him, but Hyuga slaps one of them for bumping into him and it almost turns into a fight until Tsubasa tells to fight it out on the pitch. Wakabayashi tells his team via call that he can only play 1 match due to his injury, and they promise to reach the finals for his sake as well. The team then plays their next match against Naniwa FC, in which Nakanishi stops Tsubasa's first goals and declares to be the best goalkeeper. He kicks the ball over the field towards Nankatsu's goal and one of Naniwa's players headbutts it in, marking their first goal. Nakanishi then stops 2 more of their goals, and when he kicks the ball to his team again, Misaki intercepts the ball. He makes a corner shot, but the fatso Nakanishi stops it once again. Tsubasa tells his team that nobody is a better goalie than Wakabayashi, and up next, when Naniwa's players rush at them, Ishizaki steals the ball from them based on Tsubasa's orders. The ball gets passed around to Tsubasa, who rushes ahead and makes a strong kick towards the goal. Nakanishi stops it, but due to the ball's strong rotatory power, it still goes in. Up next, Tsubasa rushes towards the goal again and Nakanishi runs towards him to stop him. Tsubasa then smoothly passes the ball to Kasugi, who makes a shot and scores another goal. In the second half, the team scores 2 more points, and when Tsubasa rushes towards the goal again, Nakanishi runs at him and tries to stomp him down. Tsubasa still ends up scoring and Nankatsu wins the match. Afterwards, they win another match to reach the top 4, and they discuss how Mousashi FC might be their next opponent in the semi-finals. Jun tells his coach that he really wants to play against Tsubasa, but his coach seems reluctant. Yayoi takes Tsubasa out and begs her to let Jun win because he has a heart condition that won't let him play football for long. Tsubasa doesn't agree and he tells her that it's his dream to go to Brazil after winning the tournament. The match of Hitachi FC versus Musashi FC plays out, in which Jun gets switched in when the team starts to lose. He scores goal after goal and the team finally wins the match. Jun then tells Yaoi that he will give his best in his last ever match against Tsubasa. The semi-final match between Furano and Maywa begins with Maywa's player kicking off the ball. Soon Hyuga and Furano's ace Matsuyama face each other and they both struggle to get past each other. Matsuyama's team comes to his rescue, so Hyuga passes the ball to Takashi and Matsuyama ends up stealing his ball. Furano's players rush towards the goal, but Hyuga chases them like a bull and steals the ball through a rough sliding tackle. He then scores a goal all by himself, and up next, when Matsuyama gets the ball, he starts chasing after Matsuyama too. Just when Matsuyama gets near the goal, Hyuga slide tackles him and he hits Matsuyama's foot instead, which earns him a yellow card. Matsuyama gets a penalty kick and he earns a score which ties the game. The first half soon ends and Maiwa's coach tells Takashi to help out Hyuga, who seems to be out of it. Takashi recalls how Hyuga helped him take Maiwa's entrance exam even though he was in 3rd grade, and how he learned Hyuga works part-time to help his family. In the second half, Hyuga and Matsuyama go against each other again and the ball is passed to Takashi, who makes a long kick towards the goal. Matsuyama tries to intercept it, but his foot starts hurting and Hyuga scores a goal instead. Up next, Matsuyama rushes towards the goal and a Maiwa's player tackles him, which worsens his injury. Furano gets a free kick so they use it to pass the ball around, but at the end Hyuga intercepts the ball again. The ball rolls over to Matsuyama, who scores a second goal and ties the match. Maywa's players rush to score a goal and they end up getting a foul and a penalty kick at the last minute. Suddenly a key player named Wakashimazu switches in for goalie and he stops Matsuyama's shot. He throws the ball at Hyuga, who runs ahead and scores the final goal. The semi-final match between Nankatsu and Mousashi begins, in which Musashi's players coordinate to bring the ball near the goal. They make a feint pass and try to score, but Nankatsu's goalie stops the ball. The ball goes to Nankatsu's players and Taki makes a pass to Tsubasa, which gets intercepted by Jun. Tsubasa then runs after him, and just when Jun is about to score, Tsubasa kicks against the ball, which deflects it away from the net. Jun steals the ball from Misaki and passes it to his teammate, who tries to score, but the ball hits the goalpost instead. Jun's parents arrive in the audience, and this time Tsubasa marks Jun to take the ball from him. He notices that Jun seems to be in pain, which distracts him, and his team fails to score a goal due to his late response. Jun notices that Tsubasa may know about his heart condition, and after jumping over the defenders, he scores the first goal. Tsubasa starts to get marked and the whole of the team coordinates together to bring the ball towards the goal. Tsubasa then runs ahead and scores a goal through an overhead kick. Jun faces Tsubasa once again and asks him whether he knows about his condition. He then runs ahead to score, but Morisaki catches the ball instead. Up next, Misaki makes a long pass to Tsubasa, who scores a goal, but the referee announces that he made an offside goal, which makes it invalid. He then gets multiple chances to goal, but each time the referee announces offside attack. Musashi's players then begin a counter-attack and Ishizaki stops one of their shots while Morisaki catches another one of their shots. Jun gets a chance, so he uses an overhead kick to score another goal. The first half ends and Tsubasa realizes that he is not a match for Jun. Meanwhile, Jun slaps Yayoi for revealing his secret, and when the match resumes, Misaki gives his best but Tsubasa fails to play properly. As a result, Jun races ahead and scores the third goal. Wakabayashi yells at Tsubasa from the audience, and Roberto also reminds him of his promise to go together to Brazil. Sunai cheers for him as well, and finally Tsubasa regains his motivation. The match resumes, and this time Tsubasa rushes through all of Musashi's players like a bulldozer. He and Misaki keep passing the ball between each other, and Jun then tackles him. Before Tsubasa falls down, he kicks the ball in the air and then manages to headbutt it, but the ball hits the goalpost instead. Musashi's players retrieve the ball, but Nankatsu's players rush to help Tsubasa out. Warabe steals the ball and the ball is ultimately passed down to Tsubasa once again, who scores a goal. With only one goal behind and 10 minutes left, Musashi's coach tells another player to warm up, and on the field Jun struggles to dribble because of his heart condition, so he passes the ball to another player. The doctor tells Maywa's coach that Hyuga has overexerted himself, due to which he needs rest for now. At the match, Tsubasa rushes through the players, and when the defenders block him, he slides through the slippery ground and kicks the ball towards the net, which ties the score of both teams. Jun falls to his knees and he is almost switched out, but he reminds his coach that he promised to let him play. He tells his team about his condition, and Tsubasa also tells his team to keep playing normally. The match resumes and Tsubasa rushes towards the goal, but Jun doesn't stop him this time. Nankatsu's players fail to score a goal, and finally the ball is passed to Jun, who rushes towards the goal. He jumps over Misaki, who tries to tackle him, and Nankatsu's player pushes him to the side. He falls but still manages to keep the ball, and when Tsubasa tries to steal the ball, he kicks it in the air. He then kicks the ball and scores another goal. With 2 minutes left, Musashi's players heavily mark Tsubasa, and Jun issues directions to the defenders, which works against Nankatsu. Misaki then rushes towards the goal by himself since Tsubasa is marked, and he makes his shot, but the ball doesn't go through. Tsubasa then rushes towards the goal during the last few seconds, and Musashi players surround him to stop him. At the last moment, he jumps upwards and makes an overhead kick. Misaki then headbutts the ball, which earns the team another score, and the score gets tied. With a few seconds left, everyone wonders whether they will get extra time, but Tsubasa rushes through the ground and doesn't give up. He makes a powerful long-distance shot, and even though both Musashi's goalie and Jun try to stop it, his shot goes through. At the same time, the referee announces the end and their goal gets counted, which makes Nankatsu the winner. Jun thanks Tsubasa for showing him a great game, and he promises to never leave football. The day of the final match arrives, and Captain Ozora also wonders how Tsubasa will perform. Nankatsu's cheer team also gets a ride to the stadium, and Nankatsu's coach tells everyone that they have done a good job. Nankatsu's players arrive at the stadium for a warm-up, and they notice that their parents are in the audience as well. Maiwa's team arrives as well, and Takashi recalls how Hyuga was sleeping till morning, which made them think that he wouldn't join the match. Hyuga then told them that he will of course play the finals and that he has faith in his team. Both teams gather in the field and Hyuga's sponsor lady also thinks about how she will choose a player based on the outcome of the match. Finally all players take their position and finally the finale begins. Hyuga rushes forward and kicks the ball at Tsubasa's stomach, but Tsubasa doesn't back down. He instead passes the ball to Misaki, who makes a long pass to him, and Tsubasa makes his first shot. Wakashimazu blocks his shot and throws the ball over to his team. Suddenly Ishizaki steals the ball and the ball is passed around to Misaki, who rushes towards the goal. He passes the ball to his teammate, but Wakashimazu intercepts him and blocks his shot. He kicks the ball towards Hyuga, who bulldozes his way through all the players and makes his shot. As expected, Wakabayashi blocks him and throws the ball back to his teammates. Tsubasa then rushes towards the goal and makes a feint pass to Misaki, who tries to score, but Wakashimazu blocks his attack. The ball rolls over to Taki, who passes it to Tsubasa and Tsubasa makes his shot, but again Wakashimazu manages to block it. Up next, Hyuga attempts to score, but Wakabayashi blocks his shot. The ball goes to Tsubasa next, who passes it to Kasugi at the last moment. Still Wakashimazu blocks his shot and Tsubasa jumps up to make his overhead kick. Hyuga intercepts his shot in midair and they both crash to the ground. Misaki then rushes forward and with Tsubasa's help, they make a combo shot which earns them a score. Hyuga then rushes towards the goal next and Misaki steals the ball from him. Takashi intercepts him and passes the ball to Hyuga, who makes a long-distance powerful shot. Wakabayashi stops the ball and Hyuga then makes a long-distance shot one after another to prove to his sponsor that he's better than Tsubasa. Wakabayashi stops all his shots, and when he makes another shot, Takashi headbutts the ball. Wakabayashi manages to deflect it by kicking it to the side and the first half ends. During break, Takashi tells Hyuga that he's playing pathetically and he tells his team about the sponsorship offer which is at stake. The second half begins with Maywa's players tackling Misaki and Tsubasa, but Misaki still manages to pass the ball to Tsubasa. Two players try tackling him, so he jumps upwards and Hyuga steals the ball from him. He passes the ball to Takashi, who passes it back to him and he makes his shot. Wakabayashi runs forward to block his shot and he sends Wakabayashi flying with the ball too. Wakabayashi still manages to save the goal and Hyuga notices his parents and co-workers in the crowd. Nankatsu's players manage to counterattack and Misaki rushes towards the goal. Takashi tackles him just before he sends a cross shot over to the goal post and Tsubasa runs towards the goal. He jumps in the air to kick it and Wakashimazu also jumps up to tackle him. Wakabayashi then intercepts his and throws the ball to Hyuga while Tsubasa and Misaki both collapse on the ground. Hyuga rushes towards the goal and he passes the ball to his teammates, which is unusual for him. They pass the ball around till it gets back to Hyuga and he makes a hit shot. Wakabayashi of course deflects the ball, but Hyuga makes another shot which breaks through the defenders and touches the net. Misaki gets switched out due to his injury and up next Tsubasa and Hyuga face one another again. Hyuga breaks through him and rushes ahead to score his shot. Wakabayashi somehow manages to stop his shot, but he then collapses on the ground due to his injury. Nankatsu's normie players decide to step up their game, so the defenders headbutt Hyuga when he tries to score through a corner kick. They save the goal, but the ball again goes to Hyuga, who makes his shot. This time Ishizaki headbutts the ball and saves the goal. Misaki is then switched back inside after getting first aid and Tsubasa decides to stop whining about his leg injury. Misaki's attendant worries about his injury while Misaki faces Takashi on the field. Takashi manages to bypass him and the ball is passed to Hyuga, who makes his shot. Of course Wakabayashi stops his shot and Misaki then makes a long pass to Tsubasa, who rushes towards the goal. He makes his shot and Wakashimazu manages to deflect it. Still Tsubasa's ball rushes inwards and Wakashimazu then uses a reverse karate move to throw it back in the field. Nankatsu players rush ahead to retrieve the ball and Musashi's players tackle Izawa. The ball is passed around till one of Musashi's players receives it and passes it to Hyuga. Misaki charges at Hyuga and for the first time Hyuga does a feint by jumping sideways from Misaki. He then makes his shot and despite Wakabayashi jumping forward to stop it, his shot goes through. With a few minutes left, Nankatsu doesn't give up and instead all the players rush forward to score a goal. They pass the ball between each other as they get near the goal and Misaki passes the ball to Tsubasa at the end. Everyone yells at him to kick, so Tsubasa makes an overhead kick, but his shot gets stopped by Wakashimazu. The ball gets thrown back to Hyuga and with 1 minute left, Wakabayashi rushes and steals the ball. He runs ahead and makes a long shot to score a goal. Misaki then headbutts the ball, but the ball starts to go outside the goal. At the last moment Tsubasa does a forward kick which sends the ball flying towards the goal. The second half ends with both teams having equal scores and it gets decided to have an extra 10 minutes match. All the players tend to their injuries and the match resumes with Hyuga rushing towards the goal from the get-go. He makes a long shot but Wakabayashi manages to catch it once again. He kicks the ball to Tsubasa who the defenders try to tackle again but he jumps over them and does a fake shot which is actually a pass. Wakashimazu still manages to save it while Wakabayashi also does not let the ball through and Tsubasa even tries a volley shot but Wakashimazu still catches the ball. Misaki gets the ball but falls down due to his injury so the defenders rush to tackle him. He passes the ball to Tsubasa at the last moment but gets hit again and Tsubasa shoots the ball with an overhead kick. Wakashimazu stops the ball but it spins into the net at the same time as the halftime whistle and the referee calls it a no-goal. They run to Misaki to check up on him and he tells them that he can still play in the second half. The match resumes after the break and Tsubasa rushes to attack before trying to score but Wakashimazu saves it again. He passes to Hyuga who also gets blocked by Wakabayashi and Tsubasa tries to attack again but it turns into a one-on-one between him and Hyuga. They both try to gain possession of the ball before eventually falling together and the ball goes out. Takashi quickly throws it to Hyuga while Tsubasa fails to get up but Hyuga loses the ball after slipping right in front of the goal. Takashi passes to him again and he performs an overhead kick but Wakabayashi manages to save it once more. The game goes to extra time and Wakabayashi tells Misaki and Tsubasa to rest during the first half while the whole team defends. They follow the plan and fiercely defend against Maywa's attack during the first half but Wakashimazu manages to realize their actual plan. He steps forward himself and takes a powerful shot but Wakabayashi decides where another keeper would shoot so manages to save it for the 50th time. The second half begins and Tsubasa and Misaki resume their attack after resting for a bit. Tsubasa dribbles through a few players and passes to Misaki who falls down once again due to his injury so Hyuga steals the ball. Hyuga tries to score but Tsubasa blocks his shot and passes to Misaki again who runs forward. He dribbles through players and shoots but the ball gets deflected to Ishizaki who crosses it back into the box. Misaki lures Hyuga by pretending to shoot it and the ball goes to Tsubasa who shoots the ball into the net using an overhead kick that always comes to save the day. With 3 minutes left, Hyuga does not give up and starts attacking fiercely but Tsubasa blocks his path so he quickly passes to Takashi who attempts to score. Wakabayashi catches the ball but his keg starts giving in and Hyuga notices it. He falls to the ground while trying to throw it but the defender manages to clear the ball by kicking it forward. Wakabayashi does not stand back up so Maywa FC start attacking fiercely while the Nankatsu announces Wakabayashi's substitution which cannot occur until the game pauses. Misaki starts marking Hyuga and Wakashimazu joins the attack too which distracts Misaki who ends up losing Hyuga. Maywa players pass the ball to Hyuga and Tsubasa tries to tackle him but Hyuga manages to shoot it before Tsubasa can reach him. Wakabayashi uses his uninjured leg and his arm to jump, narrowly deflecting it into the air but Wakashimazu shoots it back towards the goal. Misaki uses all his strength to block the ball but ends up colliding with the post as a result. The ball goes to Tsubasa who gets fired up after seeing the injured Misaki and rushes to a fence all alone while dribbling through all the Maywa defenders. He fiercely clashes against Hyuga and manages to beat him before jumping right over Wakashimazu. He uses the ball with his full strength which goes flying after tearing the net and the match finally ends in Nankatsu's victory. They hold the closing ceremony in which Tsubasa gets announced as the MVP and top scorer of the tournament. The sponsor lady scouts Hyuga again and explains that she plans to scout Tsubasa as the playmaker while Hyuga will be their ace striker. He feels hesitant at first due to his loss but agrees to join Toho Academy after seeing all the people supporting him. Tsubasa mentions how Misaki will be leaving soon now that the tournament has ended and his mom suddenly rushes to the pitch while holding a letter. She reveals that Roberto has left for Brazil without him and Tsubasa rushes to the airport to stop him before he leaves. They get on the truck and Tsubasa reads the letter in which Roberto talks about how he cannot tear the Ozora family apart by taking him away. Tsubasa reaches the airport but Roberto ends up leaving before Tsubasa can catch up to him. A few days go by and Misaki tries to leave without telling anyone but the boys accidentally encounter him so Ishizaki rushes to call Tsubasa before Misaki leaves. The bus departs but Tsubasa manages to reach it and kicks a ball to Misaki which was a gift from all the boys with their signs on it. Wakabayashi reveals that he is also going to Germany to become the best goalkeeper in the world and challenges Tsubasa to a match just like the first time they met. A week goes by and they hold a one-on-one in which Tsubasa performs an overhead kick by hitting the ball on the post but Wakabayashi manages to save it. Tsubasa reveals that he plans to stay at Nankatsu instead of joining Toho Academy and they agree to meet once again as teammates on the Japanese national team. 3 years go by and Nankatsu manages to win another championship and Hyuga finally gathers his full team at Toho Academy as they both prepare to clash once more. After Wakabayashi's departure, a few Shutetsu players join Nankatsu Middle School to play with Tsubasa, while few join Otomo Middle who wish to defeat him. The interviewer asks Tsubasa about his last tournament in middle school that will have the same people as his first one, and he tells them that he will secure the first ever 3 consecutive championships. Tsubasa thinks about how he has absorbed all the football knowledge that was written in a book that Roberto left him, and he even practices his Portuguese to head to Brazil after middle school ends. The brackets for the prefectural matches arrive, and they notice how Otomo High is on the other end, so they won't meet their former team members until the final prefectural match. They start practicing, but Urabe, Kishida, Nishio, and Nakayama from Otomo Middle arrive along with another teammate. The new player kicks the ball to Tsubasa, who narrowly stops it, and the other four surround Tsubasa before stealing the ball from him. They pass to the new player named Nita, who kicks the ball into the net, and they declare that they will head to the nationals this time instead of Nankatsu. The next day he learns that Nita was the one who led Nankatsu City team to win the championship after Tsubasa's group graduated to middle school, and that the Otomo team has been running 30 kilometers every day for the past 3 years. He realizes that they have gotten too relaxed after winning so much, so he begins making the training harder and makes the seniors play against the juniors, including him. He easily scores on them while playing with the juniors, which fires all the seniors up, and they begin training harder. The prefectural tournament finally starts, and Katajiri from the National Football Federation tells Tsubasa to win the championship again to mark his legend as the undefeated before going off to Brazil. The Otomo boys watch Nankatsu players practice, and they discuss that they need to pin down Tsubasa only to win. Hyuga arrives and tells them some self-proclaimed crap about Toho Academy being the next winners. He tells them that they can't win against Tsubasa at their level, and Nita tells him that he defeated Takashi after he left, so he will win this time too. Nankatsu's manager Sanai prepares halftime snacks for the team while another girl teases her about Tsubasa. The finals of the prefectural tournament starts, in which Nankatsu faces Otomo, and Tsubasa requests his coach to let him play as a midfielder to block Nita. Finally the match begins, in which Nankatsu's players rush forward, but Urabe, Kishida, Nishio, and Nakayama from Otomo coordinate together and steal the ball. They make a long pass to Nita and he rushes ahead, but Tsubasa blocks him. Tsubasa then bypasses him easily and runs forward, but Otomo's 4 players again rush forward to stop him. Tsubasa instantly realizes that they will steal the ball from him, so he makes a back pass to Ishizaki and they run after him instead. The team passes the ball between each other till Tsubasa gets the ball again and passes it to Izawa, who makes his shot. Otomo's goalie Ichiju stops the ball, and meanwhile a bulky dude in the audience named Jito comments that Nankatsu may not win the match. The ball goes to Nita again, who makes a long shot, but the ball goes outside the net instead. At the end of first half, Nankatsu's forward players struggle to break through Otomo's defense, and just then, Tsubasa runs forward to the offensive side. On his order, the ball gets passed to him and he makes a very difficult side shot that directly goes into the net, which marks the first score for Nankatsu. The first half ends and Otomo's players whine about not being able to defeat Tsubasa. Nita vows to defeat Tsubasa for the 100th time, and in the second half, his teammates pass the ball to him even though Tsubasa is marking him. Nita strategizes that his speed is faster than Tsubasa, but if he stops, Tsubasa will steal the ball from him. When his teammates pass the ball to him, he makes a shot without trapping the ball, due to which he fails and the ball goes off ground. Up next, Nita's teammates pass the ball to him again and he tries to make the same shot without trapping the ball, but he fails again even though his timing improves a bit. He doesn't give up, but rather he tries for the 3rd time, and this time the ball barely misses the net. Tsubasa takes things in his own hands as he rushes to score a goal, and he passes the ball to his teammate Taki, who passes it to another teammate Kasugi. He then attempts to score, but Ichiju stops the ball. Otomo launches their counterattack and Nita once again attempts to make a direct shot while he is running. The ball touches Nankatsu's player's hand, due to which Otomo gets a free kick, and Nita then directly kicks the ball at one of Nankatsu's players, who falls down. Nita then makes his infamous shot, which Tsubasa blocks by jumping sideways from the goal post. Nankatsu launches their own counterattack as Tsubasa rushes through defender after defender. He makes his final shot after getting through 4 defenders, but they all tackle him, which weakens his shot, and Ichiju then captures his ball. The ball is ultimately passed back to Nita, who successfully makes his shot without trapping the ball and scores a goal. Up next, Tsubasa coordinates with 3 forward players, and when he receives the ball, he also makes his shot, which earns his team a goal. With a 1-point lead, Nankatsu plays in offensive mode as always till Urabe steals the ball and passes it to Nita. However, Nankatsu's players intercept the pass and steal the ball easily. Up next, the ball is passed to Nita once again, but on Tsubasa's orders, his team players run back, which triggers an offside trap, and Nita fails to make his shot. Nankatsu's players steal the ball and Ishizaki passes the ball to Tsubasa, who makes a side shot. Another teammate then headbutts the ball into the net and the team scores another goal this way. Otomo's players desperately try to score one more goal, but the referee blows the whistle announcing the end of the match. Nankatsu wins the match and becomes the winner of the prefectural tournament. Tsubasa gives an interview that he is looking forward to play against Misaki the most, even though nobody has heard from him in a long while. Wakabayashi's coach gets a request to form a team for nationals as soon as he reaches Japan, and meanwhile Furano and Hanawa also win their tournament to reach nationals along with Ajamechi Middle School, which defeats Naniwa School. In Tokyo, Jun returns to play football once again after 2 years of intense rehab, and Yayoi welcomes him back. Toho Academy heads to the stadium for their match while Tsubasa practices a move that was written in Roberto's diary. Toho Academy plays against Mousashi and Hyuga scores 3 consecutive goals, due to which Jun gets switched into play. He rushes through Toho's players all by himself and scores the first goal without anyone's help. This fires up Hyuga, who tries to score by himself as well, but Jun steals the ball from him and attempts to score again. Wakashimazu stops his shot this time and the first half ends. Nankatsu's managers report to the team about Hyuga's match, and meanwhile Hyuga requests his coach to let him mark Jun, but his request gets rejected. The second half begins and Jun doesn't get any chance to dribble the ball, so he makes a long pass to his team. Wakashimazu catches the ball, and up next, when Hyuga tries to counterattack, Musashi's team triggers an offside trap, due to which he fails to score. In this way Musashi keeps Hyuga off their back while Wakashimazu fails all their attempts to score a goal. Since Jun can only play for 20 minutes in a match due to his heart condition, he rushes in for an attack, and by coordinating with his team, he tricks Wakashimazu and makes an overhead shot that scores a goal. His coach tries to switch him, but he begs him to let him keep playing. Up next, Hyuga rushes through 2 Musashi's players and he and Hyuga go head to head against each other. Jun keeps rushing after him, but soon he feels pain in his heart and he collapses on the ground. He nudges the ball as he falls, due to which his teammates receive the ball and they all rush to counterattack. The forwards all coordinate together to reach the goal side, and one of them tries to score, but Wakashimazu stops his hands with his hands. Jun gets switched out, but Musashi fails to score any goal after that due to strong defense of Toho Academy. Soon the match ends with Toho Academy as the winner, and on the way out Hyuga's old coach named Kira meets him. He calls him a pathetic wuss for feeling pity for Jun, and he reminds him that he needs to throw his mercy away to defeat Tsubasa. Coach Kira then invites him to a coaching school that he has recently opened in Okinawa. Tsubasa is studying with his Brazilian teacher Carlos when he gets an email from Wakabayashi telling him that he has met Misaki. In Germany, Wakabayashi comes across Misaki, who is actually living with his father in France, and they both catch up with each other. They both practice football for fun, and Wakabayashi notices that Misaki's play style indicates that he will soon become a pro. He emails everything to Tsubasa too, who becomes even more motivated to join the international scene. Nankatsu's manager Yukari's cousin named Jito returns to home, and he tells Yukari to let Nankatsu know that his team Hirado Middle School will defeat them. Tsubasa updates his team about Misaki's whereabouts while Hyuga goes to Okinawa train under his old coach. His new team waits for him, and after 1 week his coach declares that he will revoke his scholarship due to his sudden disappearance. Nankatsu's team learns about Hyuga's disappearance from a magazine, and meanwhile Hyuga fights against dangerous tsunami waves as a part of his intense training. He finally overpowers the waves, and the next morning arrives, which is the day of the tournament. His team feels disappointed since Hyuga still hasn't come back, while Coach Kira gives Hyuga air tickets to go to Tokyo. In the meanwhile, Tsubasa practices the move suggested by Roberto, which will make him a world-class player. The tournament starts, in which all teams arrive and Tsubasa gives back the championship flag. They notice that Hyuga is still missing, and the first match of Nankatsu versus a new national team Ajamechi gets announced. Nankatsu's player tells the others that Ajamechi's top scorer is a guy named Sota Makoto, who is actually a defender. Toho Academy arrives at its stadium where Hyuga joins them, but their coach tells them that Hyuga is not allowed to play in the tournament. The match between Nankatsu and Ajamechi then begins with an uproar. Right off the bat, Sota steals the ball aggressively and makes a long pass to his teammate, but Tsubasa intercepts his pass. Sota then starts chasing him, and he does a side razor tackle, due to which he manages to steal the ball from Tsubasa. Ajamechi's team launches a counterattack and they rush through Nankatsu's defender. Right at the end, Sota gets the ball and he makes a curve shot which scores him a goal. Meanwhile, Hyuga gets benched while his teammates warm up for their match, and their coach tells reporters that Hyuga won't play in the tournament. Sota starts to strictly mark Tsubasa and he follows him everywhere he goes. Tsubasa somehow gets the ball, but Sota tackles him roughly and he gets a yellow card because of this. Up next, Nankatsu's three forwards rush ahead and Tsubasa also slyly slips past Soda when he is distracted. They pass the ball to Tsubasa, who jumps up to make an overhead kick, but Soda also jumps up and blocks his shot. Tsubasa starts to feel pain in his leg and the first half ends with Ajamechi in the lead. During the break, Soda tells his team about Tsubasa's injury while Tsubasa gets his feet taped by Sanai since he doesn't want to worry others. The second half begins, in which Tsubasa's teammates pass the ball to him and he swiftly avoids facing Soda. He instead rushes ahead and makes a very long overdrive shot which ends up landing on top of the net rather than going inside it. Nankatsu tries to counterattack again and Tsubasa's teammates pass the ball to him even though he is marked. He rushes ahead and kicks the ball towards the goal while his center-back Takasugi jumps forward and headbutts the ball inside the net, which ties the scores of both the teams. With only 10 minutes left, Ajamechi's team moves into offense mode and Nankatsu steals the ball from them. Since Tsubasa is tightly marked by Soda, they pass the ball between themselves, and just when 5 minutes are left, Soda breaks free and runs towards the goal. The ball is passed to him and he makes his curve shot, however Tsubasa notices that he is rotating his feet in the opposite direction. Tsubasa yells at Murasaki to jump to left and Murasaki follows his orders, which allows him to save the goal. Murasaki then throws the ball to Tsubasa, who is left unmarked, and he rushes ahead. Finally he scores a goal and the match ends with Nankatsu as the winner. Afterwards, Soda asks Tsubasa how he managed to predict his curve shot, while Katajiri comments that if Tsubasa can manage to do a drive shot he will be at a pro's level. Meanwhile, Toho Academy struggles to score goals against their opponents Matsukami Middle School, but soon they launch a counterattack, due to which they score their first goal. Just then Hyuga gets up and makes a shot at the wall which leaves a mark on the wall while his teammates score a second goal. The next day Nankatsu's team practices on his own while Tsubasa goes to the hospital where his doctor tells him that he only has a mild sprain. On the way back, he and Sanai decide to watch the other matches while Toho Academy's coach makes Wakashimazu the captain in Hyuga's absence. Furano Middle School wins its match with a 6 points lead and Tsubasa also reaches the stadium with Sanai after the match ends. He updates his teammate about his condition and soon some more teammates join them. They tease Tsubasa about going on a date with Sanai, and meanwhile Hyuga tells his family that he is quitting Toho Academy since his scholarship may be revoked soon. He still vows to keep playing soccer no matter what. Jito from Hirado Middle School plays splendidly against his opponents while Hanawa Middle School wins its match as well and advances to the third round. Soon Nankatsu's second match with Nishigaka Middle School also starts and Tsubasa's teammates decide to play by themselves rather than relying too much on him to relax his leg. The forward players coordinate to bring the ball forward and Kasugi then scores the first goal for Nankatsu. They use the same tactic to score the second goal as well, and when the ball is passed to Taki, Tsubasa steals the ball from him and rushes ahead. He scores the goal by himself, and after some time Nankatsu wins the match with a 6 points lead as well. The next day Nankatsu competes with Hanawa Middle School, in which their old enemy the Tachibana twins also competes against them. Toho Academy also prepares to compete against Yoko Middle School without Hyuga, and the players decide that they will boycott the finals match if the coach still doesn't permit Hyuga to play with them. Nankatsu's match begins and Tsubasa tells himself that he can win this time against Tachibana due to his friends. The forward players all pass the ball between each other till Tsubasa finally makes a pass to Taki, who scores a goal. Up next, Tachibana twins rush forward to score a goal through their midair acrobatics, but just when one twin jumps at the goal post, Ishizaki kicks the goal post hard, which makes the Tachibana twin fall. Nankatsu then launches a counterattack in which the players take the ball towards the goal and Tsubasa makes a swift pass to Teppei, who scores another goal for the team. The Tachibana twins decide to use their new move and they both rush forward without the ball. Their teammate kicks the ball in the air while one Tachibana slides on the ground and the other jumps on top of him. One Tachibana twin makes the second one jump in the sky and the other twin then does a strong headbutt which earns Hanawa's team their first goal. Hanawa's players recall how the Tachibana twins worked so hard to perfect their shot while Hyuga also arrives to watch their match. Tsubasa tells his team to stop the ball from getting near the goal if they want to stop Tachibana twins, and meanwhile Wakashimazu also blocks one of the shots from his opponents while their match carries on with full rigor. Hanawa's players struggle to get the ball near the goal, but they still somehow manage to break through Nankatsu's defense. They then throw the ball in the air, and just when Tachibana twins execute their aerobatic jump, Tsubasa also uses the goal post to jump in the air. At the last moment the twins back down and the first half suddenly ends. Hanawa's team decides to switch in Daimaru, who has powerful kicks, and in the second half, Daimaru kicks the ball for Tachibana twins. The twins once again execute their powerful move as one of them jumps in the sky, but Tsubasa also jumps above to tackle them. The twin and Tsubasa collide midair and they both collapse on the ground, but Tsubasa notices that Tachibana twin is about to fall on his head, so he covers him and lands first on the ground. His shoulder gets injured and the referee orders him to take a break. Hanawa gets a corner kick and meanwhile Tsubasa gets his dislocated shoulder treated in the infirmary. Kasugi and Taki climb on top of the net to stop the twins' duo move, but the twins bend their move in a way that the ball goes in the net on a lower angle. The score becomes tied while Tsubasa's doctor allows him to continue playing in the match after tapping his shoulder. He warns him about injuring his shoulder in the future and Tsubasa returns to the field. The twins try to score one more goal through their coordinated move, but this time their legs get cramped due to which their move fails. Up next, Tsubasa decides to stay back to protect his shoulder, but Hanawa's players keep marking Nankatsu's players. Finally, Tsubasa decides to use his drive shot to score a goal instead. He gets in stance and shoots it, but the ball goes out of bounds after hitting the post at the last moment. The teams get stuck in a stalemate again, but the twins suddenly rush to perform their coordinated move again. Tsubasa also jumps towards the ball using the post, but he comes off short and jumps, narrowly reaching the ball before the twin. The two collide and the ball goes to Hanawa again, and the twins bring out a twin shot this time, which gives an illusion of double balls. Morisaki stands his ground and the ball gets deflected toward the net after hitting his shoulder, but Ishizaki manages to head it away at the cost of colliding with the post. Tsubasa suddenly counterattacks and dribbles right through three players but falls down after his shoulder touches the fourth guy. The keeper almost grabs the ball, but he slide kicks it towards the net. The twins use their special move to stop it, but they fall short and Nankatsu grabs the lead again right before the final whistle decides their victory. Ishizaki and Tsubasa get treated at the infirmary, where the twins come to apologize for causing the injury, while Matsuyama tells Hyuga to make sure to play in the match against Furano so that he can pay back Hyuga for the slap that happened 3 years ago. Toho manages to advance to the quarterfinals too, and Jun also asks Hyuga to make sure to win the national as the Tokyo representative. Hyuga informs his coach that he is willing to sit on the benches, but his coach states that he still won't let Hyuga play. Mikami, Wakabayashi's previous and the current Japan junior youth team's coach, thinks about how he will create a team by selecting the strongest players from the tournament that he will take to the international stage. The doctor notices an injury on Tsubasa's left leg that he had been hiding, and after a while the captain named Jito from Hirado FC, which is their next opponent, declares that he will end Nankatsu's winning streak. On Furano's side, Matsuyama thinks about how their manager has always taken care of them a lot, but she will be leaving to the US soon, so he wants to win the national cup for her. Back at Toho's side, they destroy their opponents in the quarterfinals, using just Sawada while Hyuga warms the bench, and they do not concede a single goal thanks to Wakashimazu. Meanwhile, on Furano's side, their opponent Minamua's captain named Ishida does a solo dribble right at the start and manages to reach near the goal, but Matsuyama stops him, so he kicks the ball high towards the goal. Minamua's center, Takei, appears out of nowhere and heads it into the goal, which gives Minamua the lead. As the game resumes, Matsuyama rushes to the goal but passes at the last moment to his open teammate, Oda, who misses an easy goal. Ishida tries to score once again by sending a high pass to Takei, but the goalkeeper manages to stop it with the help of the defenders. The second half soon begins and Matsuyama crosses to Oda again, who heads the ball, but it goes straight to the keeper. Ishida counterattacks with a long shot, but the keeper saves it and passes to Matsuyama as the whole team goes on offense. He recalls all the hard training in the snow and kicks the ball with all his strength, which goes directly into the net. He does not let the momentum slip and he dribbles past Ishida before passing to Oda once again, who finally manages to score, which puts them in the lead. The final whistle blows and Furano secures its spot in the top 4, and Tsubasa thinks about how Matsuyama could have scored easily at the end, but he passed to Oda to bring him back to his feet after he lost his confidence due to the failed attempts. With 3 teams already in the semifinals, the last quarter-final between Nankatsu and Hirado begins, and Taki quickly steals the ball but loses it soon after crashing with Jito's huge body. Jito shoots it with all his strength towards Nankatsu's net and Morisaki almost catches it, but Hirado's forward named Sano redirects it at the last moment into the net. Nankatsu attacks again and Jito easily steals the ball from Kasugi, but Tsubasa takes it back the next moment. Jito catches up to him and bodies him away with the shoulder, taking the impact, and he shoots it to Sano again, but Ishizaki blocks it with his face. Sano takes the ball and easily dribbles past 3 defenders before passing it to Jito, who takes a shot. Morisaki catches the ball but goes flying into the net alongside it, and Hirado takes a 2-goal lead. Nankatsu attacks again and Tsubasa's shoulder acts up again, but he crosses to the middle where Nagano tries to take the header after using Izawa as bait, but Jito manages to clear the ball. Sano gets the ball again and Takasugi uses his strength to take it away before clashing against Jito, but he loses the battle. Tsubasa steals the ball from him and passes it around, but Kasugi loses it due to an injury given by Jito, but Izawa takes it back. He passes to Tsubasa, who shoots right before Jito collides with him again, and he goes flying to the ground as the ball hits the post. He fails to get up due to the pain, and Jito gives a backspin pass to Sano, who scores once again. Tsubasa recalls all the people who supported him, which gives him the motivation to continue. The first half ends and Jito recalls how he first learned that Tsubasa was the strongest, but now he believes that he is the strongest. Tsubasa gets patched up and returns to the pitch full of motivation. He rushes forward and performs a drive shot which shocks everyone, but Jito assumes that it will just miss again. To everyone's surprise, the ball shoots down, right into the net. He does the same again in the next play and the gap narrows to 1 in a matter of minutes. Jito tries to shoot it to Sano in the next play, but Izawa intercepts it with his body, so Jito attempts a backspin this time. Sano does a header, but Murasaki catches it this time and quickly passes to Tsubasa, who performs another drive shot despite his left leg and shoulder acting up. Jito takes it with his face and starts bleeding, so the match stops for a brief moment as he receives treatment. As the match begins, Takasugi throws it to Tsubasa, who does another drive shot that Sano blocks using his body, but the ball goes loose, so Tsubasa does it again. Jito takes the hit this time, but Tsubasa does it again, so Jito takes another. He gets pushed back into the net along with the ball, which ties the score. Tsubasa falls down again due to the pressure on his body, so he takes a rest during the next play. Sano rushes to attack and Ishizaki tackles the ball away from him, but Jito shoots it back to Sano, who tries to perform an overhead kick which gets stopped by Tsubasa. Murasaki grabs the ball and throws it to Tsubasa, who runs forward at full speed. He reaches near the goal but swings around at the last second to evade Sano's tackle. He prepares to release another drive shot as Jito approaches him, but his body gives out, so he quickly passes to Kasugi, who coordinates with Taki to quickly bypass all the defenders. Taki slides under Jito's legs and passes to Kasugi, who scores to put Nankatsu in the lead. In the remaining minute, they desperately defend and secure the win. The first semifinals between Maywa and Toho begins, and Maywa players notice that Hyuga is still on the bench, so they recall Takashi and Wakashimazu's weak points that they know from the time they played together. The match begins and the attacker, Sawaki, gets the ball after several passes, but Takashi steals it from him. He tries to pass, but the Maywa players predict it, so they get the ball back. Sawaki tries to score, but Wakashimazu saves it, but Maywa continues to read Takashi's play, which helps them regain possession. Wakashimazu prevents several attempts to score, but Takashi's options remain sealed as the first half ends. During the break, Toho's coach just tells them to take more risks, and Takashi loses the ball as soon as the second half begins. Maywa secure a corner kick and a full-on slugfest starts as Maywa tries to score while Toho desperately defends in the penalty box. Maiwa's offense comes on top as the ball goes into the net after hitting the post, and Wakashimazu gives away his first goal of the tournament. Hyuga argues with his coach to let him play, but the coach does not budge, so he tells his teammates to win no matter the cost. Toho players get riled up and Takashi tries to copy Tsubasa as he passes to his teammate after dribbling past several players. Maywa fails to read him, and the attacker, Soramachi, manages to score a goal. Both teams continue going back and forth until Wakashimazu steps forward with the ball himself. He dribbles through players and does a 1-2 with Soramachi before making a powerful shot to secure the goal. The final whistle blows and Toho becomes the first team to advance to the finals as Mikami decides that he will take Hyuga to Europe as Japan's center forward even if he does not play a single match. The semi-final between Nankatsu and Furano starts as both teams step onto the field, and Nankatsu starts the match by passing to Tsubasa. Furano launches their full-on attack and Matsuyama performs his special tackle to steal the ball from Tsubasa, but he tackles back. Matsuyama quickly passes, but Ishizaki sends it back to Tsubasa after stealing it. He tries for a drive shot, but Matsuyama prevents it, and they both battle over possession, which sends the ball into the air. Nankatsu takes the ball and Izawa tries to score, but a defender blocks it. Tsubasa gets the ball and passes it forward again to Izawa, who takes a header, but the keeper manages to punch it away. Furano launches another full-on attack and the ball keeps going to Furano players no matter how much the defenders clear it, but Murasaki punches the ball away. Matsuyama takes a powerful long shot that sends the ball into the net. In the next play, Tsubasa passes to Taki, who almost loses the ball, but Ishizaki saves it before sending a cross, and Tsubasa performs a diving header. Matsuyama blocks it and Ishizaki shoots it from a hard angle, but it hits the post. Matsuyama gets the ball again, but Tsubasa manages to steal it in a one-on-one battle after executing a feint tackle. He performs a drive shot, but Matsuyama blocks it and the ball goes airborne again. He quickly performs an overhead kick this time and ties the score, but almost falls on his shoulder, so Matsuyama stops his fall. The second half begins and players from both teams go back and forth until the ball lands between the captains. Tsubasa manages to reach it sooner and forwards it to Aizawa, who performs a 5-meter diving header which gives them another goal. His left leg acts up, but he continues to mark Matsuyama, which prevents Furano from scoring, and he injures it once more while blocking his shot. Nankatsu desperately defends against Furano's continuous attempts at trying to tie the score, and they finally manage to break out of the loop as Aizawa launches a counterattack. He takes a long shot and the keeper manages to deflect it, but Taki shoots it once more. The defenders don't let it pass through, so Kisugi tries too, but Matsuyama blocks it this time. Tsubasa performs a drive shot, but Matsuyama blocks it with his body and his teammates stop him from being pushed into the net. They launch a full-on attack once more and Tsubasa tries to hold Matsuyama down despite his injuries, but he falls down on his shoulder after their bodies slam. Matsuyama quickly passes through and passes to his teammates, who tie the score with a header. With 1 minute left, Tsubasa gets back up while holding his shoulder and orders his teammates to pass to him. They pass to him as the game resumes and he performs a super long drive shot, but it hits the post. The ball hits the ground and jumps back into the net due to the spin on it, which gives them the lead again. The final whistle blows and Nankatsu manages to proceed to the grand finale. The Furano players thank all their fans for supporting them, and the doctor decides to take Tsubasa to his hospital instead of the infirmary. Matsuyama notices an "I love you" on his headband, which was made by his manager, so he rushes to find her before she leaves for the US while recalling everything she did for him. He manages to catch up to her thanks to Katajiri, and she patches his injuries at the airport while crying. They both hug while saying their goodbyes, and he returns to his lodging with Katajiri afterwards. Nankatsu's players get brand new shiny jerseys, while Toho Academy's coach gets a letter from Coach Kira saying that he wants to take responsibility for Hyuga's departure to Okinawa earlier. Hyuga also bursts in the room and tells his coach to meet him at the field. The others think that he is going to challenge him, but later Hyuga gets down on his knees and begs his coach to let him play. His coach still doesn't agree, and then the whole team goes on their knees to make the same request. Their coach asks Hyuga to beat the 2 forward players plus Wakashimazu if he wants to be in the team, and Hyuga agrees. He takes them on and makes his powerful long shot, which he learned from his training. The coach agrees to let him play, but the next day he hands in his resignation to Toho Academy because he believes he isn't coaching according to his convictions. Sanai goes to Tsubasa's hospital, where Tsubasa's mom asks his doctor to let him play in the match even if playing is dangerous. The whole team arrives for Tsubasa's sake, and soon both teams arrive at the stadium for the final match of the tournament. Coach Kira visits Toho's locker room and goes down on his knees to beg Toho's coach to let Hyuga play, but Toho's coach tells him that he was already willing to let him play. Both teams enter the field for the pregame warm-up, and the commentator announces their lineup. At their respective locker room, Hyuga spots his coach's resignation letter, but he decides to face the issue after the match. Tsubasa also gives a motivational speech to his homies as the last captain, and all the players then take their position on the field. The match begins, and right off the bat Hyuga makes a long shot from the center of the field that goes through everyone and hits the goal post instead, which also punctures the ball. The ball is replaced, and up next Tsubasa passes the ball to his teammates, who rush forward towards the goal. At the end Aizawa attempts to score, but Ishizaki rushes ahead and kicks the ball, and Wakashimazu stops his shot. The ball goes to Toho's players next and then to Takashi, but Tsubasa soon comes to block him to stop him from passing the ball to Hyuga. Takashi takes him on, but soon Aizawa slides between them and steals the ball. Nankatsu gets the ball, and the ball is passed to Tsubasa, who makes his infamous drive shot. Wakashimazu tries to stop him, but the ball goes over his head and hits the goal post instead. Wakashimazu vows to stop the shot since he has been training against Hyuga's powerful kicks as well, and he then throws the ball to Hyuga in the midfield. Hyuga passes it to Takashi and Tsubasa takes him on, but Takashi passes it to another forward who attempts to score. Morisaki deflects the ball, and the ball gets ultimately passed to Hyuga, who spots an opening and makes a shot from a side angle, which earns him his first goal. The match resumes, and this time Ishizaki rushes forward with the ball, but Hyuga intercepts one of his passes and steals the ball. Tsubasa then clashes with Hyuga, but rather than facing him head-on he passes the ball sideways, avoiding direct conflict. He ultimately gets the ball, and even though Takashi tries to tackle him, he jumps up and makes his drive shot. This time Wakashimazu steps near the goal, and he even successfully grabs the ball, but still Tsubasa's shot sends him flying towards the net along with the ball. Wakashimazu feels pain in his arm while Tsubasa tries to make another drive shot up next. Toho's players block him, but he still rushes ahead and clashes with Wakashimazu in midair. Both players collapse on the ground, and Nankatsu gets a corner kick which they use, but Wakashimazu manages to deflect the ball somehow. Tsubasa then attempts to do a drive shot, but the ball goes over the net instead. Wakashimazu tells his teammates about his injured shoulder and they vow to step up their game for him, but soon Tsubasa steals the ball from him. Hyuga then clashes with him and he tries to send the ball above Hyuga, but Hyuga intercepts his move and passes the ball to his teammate who tries to headbutt the ball inside the net. The ball hits the goal post instead, and up next Hyuga clashes with Tsubasa once more. They both jump to retrieve the ball, but Tsubasa fails to jump properly, due to which Hyuga steals the ball. Kisugi tries to tackle him, but Hyuga simply blows everyone away in his path and makes his killer shot, which earns him a goal. Nankatsu decides to score again and Tsubasa gets the ball. He evades Hyuga by passing the ball and jumping over his tackle. Soon he gets the ball again, so he jumps to make a goal and Hyuga tackles him in the air. Tsubasa jumps again to headbutt the ball, but Hyuga headbutts him in return and Wakashimazu then clears the ball. Toho's player rushes to score a goal, but Murasaki tackle him and Ishizaki then recovers the ball. Once again, Toho's player tries scoring, but Nankatsu's defender blocks the ball and Hyuga and Takeshi then coordinate to score a goal. Hyuga then makes his powerful shot, which scores the third goal. Nankatsu's players start whining about losing, so Tsubasa gives them a pep talk and motivates them. Hyuga attempts to do his powerful tiger shot again, but Tsubasa counters him and kicks it back in the form of a drive shot, which earns him a goal. Up next, Tsubasa again steals the ball away from Hyuga and rushes forward to score a goal, but he collapses on the ground suddenly. Izawa tries to goal in his stead and Wakashimazu barely manages to punch the ball away since he cannot raise his injured left arm. Nankatsu gets a corner kick, but they fail to take advantage and Hyuga gets the ball again. Tsubasa begs his doctor to let him play again while Hyuga makes his tiger shot once again. Ishizaki blocks it with his own body, so Hyuga makes the shot for the second time because he is desperate like that. This time the defender Takasugi blocks the shot with his own body and the first half ends just when Hyuga prepares to make another shot. The team visits Tsubasa, who assures them he can still play, and they all recall their dream to win nationals 3 times consecutively. Wakashimazu recalls how he promised his dad to leave football for karate if he doesn't win, and Toho's coach finally acknowledges Hyuga's strength. Katajiri approaches Jun and offers him a coaching position for a training camp for a European upcoming tour. The second half begins with Tsubasa rushing towards the goal and he jumps over Hyuga to avoid being tackled. He passes the ball to forward players who attempt to goal, but Wakashimazu stops their shot by barely touching the ball. Nankatsu uses their corner kick to score, but the ball gets deflected in the air and Tsubasa jumps on the goal post to pass the ball. The team tries scoring, but Wakashimazu also jumps on the goal post to stop their shot. Nankatsu gets a corner kick again, but Hyuga recovers the ball from them and passes it to his teammates. Tsubasa runs after Hyuga, and when Hyuga's teammate passes the ball to Hyuga, both the ace jump in the air to take the ball. Ishizaki steals the ball instead, and up next Takeshi intercepts a pass and passes the ball to Hyuga. Once again Hyuga counters Tsubasa in the air, but he pushes him down and makes his tiger shot, which hits Tsubasa's shoulder. Murasaki captures the ball and Tsubasa refuses to leave the field despite being in pain. Nankatsu launches a counterattack as Kisugi tries to score, but Wakashimazu deflects his attack. Ishizaki rushes to headbutt the ball in, but Hyuga stops him. He then kicks the ball back to Tsubasa, who makes his overhead shot and scores a goal. Tsubasa then tells his team that Wakashimazu might be injured. Toho launches their own counterattack, but Takasugi physically blocks Hyuga and gets a foul. Hyuga starts arguing with him, so he gets a yellow card too. He then gets a free kick which he uses to pass the ball to another player, but Tsubasa intercepts the ball and Nankatsu begins rushing towards the other side. The forward players try scoring but kicking the ball at Wakashimazu's right side, but the ball goes outside the net. Toho's players counterattack next as Hyuga knocks down Tsubasa and makes his killer shot, which blows through all the defenders. Murasaki stops the ball and throws it back to Tsubasa, who prepares to make his drive shot. Takeshi steals the ball from him, but Tsubasa rushes after him and steals it back. Tsubasa once again prepares to make his drive shot, but Hyuga stops him in his tracks. His team then passes the ball to him and Tsubasa jumps in his way before he can kick the ball. Hyuga stops, but when Tsubasa falls down he kicks the ball and Ishizaki blocks the ball with his face. Toho get a corner kick which they use to pass the ball to Wakashimazu, who has run forward, but Nankatsu's players ultimately steal the ball from them and Tsubasa throws the ball over to the other side's net. Wakashimazu manages to catch up and he barely stops the ball from going in the net. Hyuga gets the ball again while Tsubasa realizes that he cannot move his body. Hyuga then makes his tiger shot, which Tsubasa blocks with his whole body. Hyuga rushes at him, but Tsubasa jumps over him and starts running towards the goal. He clashes with Hyuga midway, but he manages to make his drive shot and Wakashimazu stops it. He however collapses on the ground and Tsubasa attempts to make another drive shot, but this time Hyuga stops him by kicking the ball back with his tiger shot. Shockingly, Tsubasa also uses the same tactic and kicks Hyuga's ball back at the goal, but Wakashimazu and Hyuga both stop the shot by blocking it with their bodies. The second half ends and Tsubasa asks his doctor to let him keep playing in the extra 20 minutes as well. The extra time begins with Tsubasa rushing through all of Toho's players, and despite his injury he gets past the defenders too, but Hyuga steals the ball from underneath him. Ishizaki blocks his attack with his puny body and sends the ball back to Tsubasa, who takes this chance and makes his drive shot. The ball bounces at the last second and hits the other side of the net, scoring a goal. Tsubasa faints and he wakes up in the infirmary while his teammates struggle to defend the one-score lead that Tsubasa gave him. Tsubasa rushes outside and begs his doctor to let him play. Sanai also begs him and the doctor reluctantly agrees. Hyuga gets a chance to make his shot, but he passes the ball outside when he sees Tsubasa. Tsubasa then enters the field and throws the ball to Hyuga, who rushes towards the goal. Both teams struggle to retrieve the ball and Ishizaki finally steals the ball by tackling a player. Tsubasa gets the ball and he runs to the goal, so Toho's players rush to tackle him. He passes the ball at the last second to his teammates, who coordinate together to score a goal, but at the end Wakashimazu stops the ball and saves the day. The first half ends and Tsubasa asks his teammates to let him play despite his battered state. In the second half, Tsubasa stands beside the goal post, and when Hyuga attacks, he blocks his shot with his leg and gets thrown against the goal post. Hyuga attacks again, but this time Nankatsu's players put themselves in the ball's way to stop it. Wakashimazu rushes in the field and after stealing the ball he passes it to Hyuga, who further passes it to a forward player. The player then kicks the ball, but Morisaki stops his shot. Up next, Takashi tries to score, but Tsubasa comes in the way and stops it with his body. Hyuga's teammates rush and pass the ball to him after seeing his stubbornness. Hyuga then coordinates with Takashi to bring the ball near the goal, but when he prepares to make his shot, Nankatsu's players block him and form a wall. At the last second, Hyuga gets an idea and he coordinates with Takashi to jump in the air, after which he makes an overhead tiger shot just like Tsubasa. The ball hits Morisaki and Tsubasa both, but they both get blown away and Toho finally ties the score. With a few minutes left, Nankatsu's players surround Hyuga to stop him, but Hyuga waits for an opening and then rushes through all of them. He makes his shot, but Tsubasa jumps in his way and manages to change the ball's course, due to which Hyuga fails to score. Tsubasa then tries to make his drive shot, but Hyuga blocks him and both rivals clash once again. The match ends with one final whistle, but the rivals' battle doesn't stop and in the end the ball flies upwards. Both teams get declared as winners and Hyuga catches Tsubasa, who falls on him. Hyuga promises to aim higher just like Tsubasa and they both exchange jerseys. Finally, both teams get the championship pennant and the top 24 players list gets announced, in which most of them are included. Soon afterwards, Japan's representatives for the junior youth tournament will be chosen among them and taken for a European tour. Jun also accepts Katajiri's offer to coach the Japan youth team, and Hyuga hands in his resignation to his coach for disobeying him earlier, so his coach reveals that he has already resigned himself from his post to take responsibility for everything. Later, the training camp for Japan youth team begins with Hyuga as the captain and with Nita as the replacement for Tsubasa, who is injured. Misaki and Wakabayashi keep up their training while Tsubasa also vows to become pro one day. In Germany, Wakabayashi's teammate Schneider tells his team that he is leaving the Hamburg team for the Munich team because they value his skills more. They both play a final match against each other, in which Schneider kicks the ball towards Wakabayashi. In Japan, the training match continues while Tsubasa studies with his Brazilian coach. His teammates send him a video telling him that they cannot wait to have him back. At Hamburg, Wakabayashi fails to stop Schneider's shot and Schneider reminds him that he is going to play one last game with the team, which is going to be against Japan youth team before moving to another team. Tsubasa's teammates come to visit him at his home and he assures them that he isn't that much injured. Jun gives a list to Katajiri with suggested regular lineup members, and they both discuss whether Tsubasa will be involved in the Japan youth team or not. A Nankatsu manager, Kumi, tells Sanai that she is soon going to confess her feelings to Tsubasa. The Japan youth team plays a match against a strong high school team in which Matsuyama is placed as a defender and he helps round the team up with his playmaking skills. The ball then goes to the ace Hyuga, who scores a goal with his tiger shot. Sanai goes to Tsubasa's home and even musters courage to confess her feelings to him, but suddenly he gets a call from Ishizaki telling him about their match. Sanai lets it go while Tsubasa welcomes his dad back, who has returned from his trip. Soon Tsubasa visits the team to watch them play a match against Toho Academy High School team, which has won nationals as well. The youth team struggles to score a lot of goals, but at the end Soda passes the ball to Hyuga, who makes his tiger shot without trapping the ball and scores a goal. Afterwards, they all give the jersey number 10 to Tsubasa, and later Katajiri gathers everyone to announce the players players for the Europe tour. The players that were not selected bid their farewells and Mikami tells Tsubasa to be ready to play in the youth tournament in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Schneider invites his father to come see his last match at Hamburg and the boys land in Hamburg after some time. They visit the fields where they meet Wakabayashi, who tells them that they have no chance of winning without Tsubasa, which makes Hyuga angry. Back in Japan, Tsubasa plays some soccer to get back in shape while Schneider invites his mom too, but she rejects it because she does not want to meet his father. Tsubasa manages to perform his drive shot again, and the next day, the friendly match between Hamburg and Japan youth begins. Hyuga starts the attack and passes by Schneider, who just looks around for his parents, but he does not see them. Hyuga shoots the ball with all his strength, which explodes after hitting the post. He tells Schneider to play seriously and the boys steal the ball again, so Nida takes the shot this time, but Wakabayashi easily stops it. They steal the ball once more, but Wakabayashi stops it once before catching Matsuyama's shot in the next play. Mikami notices how the Hamburg players are playing weirdly and the twins fail to score too, as 2 players from Argentina also watch them from the sidelines. The Hamburg players recall how Wakabayashi asked them to let the Japan team attack at the start while assuring that they won't be able to score on him. They decide to get serious and quickly steal the ball, so Wakabayashi tells the Japan players how he was testing them before. Hyuga get angry and steals the ball back, but Schneider easily takes the ball back after hitting Hyuga with it in mere seconds. He easily dribbles past all the players and shoots a volley into the net, while on the other side Tsubasa finally lands in Europe. He scores another goal in the next play and Tsubasa heads straight to the match to join the team in the second half. While at the match, the twins manage to create a chance by passing to Hyuga, who prepares to shoot, but Schneider stops him again by shooting him in the stomach. Schneider attempts a long shot from his own goal, but Wakashimazu barely stops it right and the first half finally ends. Tsubasa's car almost hits Schneider's sister, but a random guy saves her while Katajiri recognizes him as the junior youth goalkeeper for Italy, Zeno. The second half begins and Tsubasa reaches the field right at time to see Hyuga's powerful shot getting stopped by Wakabayashi. The twins get tired due to consecutive combined play and Schneider finishes his hat trick by scoring a third goal after dribbling past all the defenders. All the players notice Tsubasa, but Hyuga is against him joining the match because it would be unfair to all the people who came through the camp. Mikami states that he cannot let Tsubasa play if someone is against it, so Tsubasa tells all the players to win without him. As the game resumes, Schneider steals the ball again and passes it to his teammate, Kaltz, who tries to score but Wakashimazu stops it. Blood comes out of his gloves and they realize that he got injured while trying to block Schneider's previous goal, so he gets subbed out for Murasaki. Schneider does not hold back and scores 3 more goals on Murasaki, which causes Hyuga to have a mental breakdown. He gets the ball and dribbles it towards the goal, this time out of desperation instead of shooting it from outside the penalty box. He takes the shot and the ball goes into the net as Wakabayashi does not move a finger. The final whistle blows and Wakabayashi mocks Hyuga for being a coward as he did not shoot from outside after getting blocked once. They both start fighting each other and Hyuga leaves after taking off his captain's band. Afterwards, Wakabayashi recalls how Mikami asked him to show the boys the cruel reality and Mikami apologizes to him for making him act like the bad guy. Meanwhile, Hyuga asks Wakashimazu about whose shot is better between him and Schneider, so Wakashimazu tells him the bitter truth, but this motivates Hyuga to work even harder. The next day, the team arrives at the stadium and the Bremen FC's captain, Franz, mistakenly assumes that Tsubasa is the captain, but Matsuyama reveals that he was voted as the new captain. Wakabayashi reveals that he will also be playing for Team Japan during the youth tournament and that they should stop focusing on how Tsubasa was not part of the camp. The match finally begins and Franz easily breaks through the whole team before helping his team reach 3 goals. As the second half begins, the Bremen side benches its 2 main players and Tsubasa tells everyone not to let the opponent take them lightly. Team Japan manages to score 2 goals after getting fired up by his speech, but the match ends in a loss again. After some time, the second match between Bremen and Italy begins and the Italian goalkeeper immediately stands out as he stops multiple attempts. Outside the stadium, Hyuga practices with a heavy ball despite the pressure on his foot so he can improve his shot. The match finally ends in Italy's favor and Mikami announces that the Italian team has refused to play against Japan after watching their first match against Bremen. Tsubasa steps onto the field and rushes to the goal, so the Italian players try to stop him, but he easily dribbles past the whole team before scoring on Zeno with his drive shot. All the players agree to let him play and Katajiri reveals that Misaki will also be joining them when they reach France. Misaki sneaks into the stadium to watch the French youth team practicing against pro players and he notices Pierre, French youth's main player, easily dribbling past the pro players. A week ago, he recalls how he was juggling the ball on the stairs when Pierre suddenly took it from him, which almost made him fall. They head towards a ground where Pierre reveals that he came to meet him after hearing other players talk about him and they both suddenly start battling each other. They realize that they are equally good as neither of them comes on top and the ball goes into the air, so they decide that whoever manages to secure it will be the winner. They both jump, but a shirt court suddenly covers it, which stops their match. Katajiri appears and invites Misaki to join the Japan youth team. In the present, he jumps on the field to assess himself and he easily passes by all the other players until another player joins his side. They lead a combo play against the French team and easily score on them. Meanwhile, all the Japan youth players train hard after suffering 2 losses, and the next day, the last match before the tournament against Munich begins. As Tsubasa gets the ball, he jumps past 3 players and leads a combo attack with Takashi before taking the first goal with a drive shot. In the next play, Munich leads a strong attack, but Matsuyama blocks them and passes to Tsubasa, who begins the counterattack. He dribbles past a few players and passes to Hyuga, who shoots it into the goal. Munich attacks again using their fast passes, but Jito manages to clear the ball from their attacker named Mayer, and the loose ball goes to Munich again. Mayer attempts to score, but Wakashimazu catches it. He gives it to Matsuyama, who gets triple teamed, so he passes to Takashi, but he loses the ball to a tackle. Munich returns to offense and try to head it in, but Wakashimazu deflects the ball. The ball goes to another Munich player, who sends a back pass to Mayer, who shoots it towards the corner. Wakashimazu jumps across using the post and he manages to catch the ball. The first half ends and the Japan youth players thank Jun for giving them good advice during training, which helped them improve enough to hold their ground. As the second half begins, Wakashimazu stops another attempt, but Munich's relentless attacks continue and Munich's attack crosses them once more, but Wakashimazu saves it again. He gives the ball to Ishizaki, who loses it, but he manages to intercept a pass, so the ball goes to Tsubasa. He passes to the twins, who leave the Munich defense helpless against their combo play, and they pass it to Hyuga so he can score. The Munich players rush to Hyuga, but he passes to Tsubasa, who sends a back pass to Matsuyama. He performs his low-flying shot and Team Japan gets another goal as the announcer terms his shot as the eagle shot. Murasaki gets subbed in and all Munich players join the attack in the last 5 minutes. They rattle the defenses with their fast passes and they shoot at the open goal, but Murasaki punches it away. Matsuyama grabs the loose ball and leads a counterattack with Takashi. He performs his eagle shot and it goes into the air after hitting the post, but Tsubasa performs his iconic overhead kick, which gives them their first victory with a score of 4-0. They continue to win all the matches after that and finally land in Paris to take part in the youth tournament. The team goes to their accommodation and Tsubasa decides to go on a run to practice his dribbles, and he encounters Misaki during his run doing the same. They both hug each other after being apart for 3 years. While back in Nankatsu, Sanai stops a schoolmate, Kanda, from fighting other guys. She wraps up his bleeding knuckle, and back in Paris, Misaki finally joins the team. He and Tsubasa nervously practice their first combo play in 3 years, but their perfect synchronization shocks everyone. The remaining players practice hard too, but the mood gets ruined as Wakabayashi points out the bad points of each player one by one, and they complain to each other how he always criticizes them. Wakabayashi tells Tsubasa how he does not plan to play yet because the team atmosphere will get ruined if he plays with them now, and that they have improved a lot due to him constantly provoking them. Hyuga overhears it and realizes that Wakabayashi is intentionally acting as the bad guy to help them improve. The remaining teams also arrive one by one and the boys continue to practice as Wakashimazu tries his hardest to be better than Wakabayashi, who continues to criticize the players. Matsuyama goes to the coach and asks to make Tsubasa the captain because he is the whole team's support. The next day, the opening ceremony of the International Youth Tournament finally takes place. All the 12 participant teams gather at the stadium and Misaki thinks about how he can play with Tsubasa again. In the past, when Misaki moves away from Nankatsu, Misaki's father has an art exhibition and a buyer asks him why he doesn't paint Mount Fuji, so explains that he is not up to such a level yet. Then a woman comes to talk to him about something. Meanwhile, Misaki plays soccer with a bunch of his friends and his teammate Mitsuru's mom drags him away from practice to make him study. Misaki then eats food with a friend's family, and when he gets home, his dad tells him that his mom wants custody of him after seeing him on television even though she left him 11 years ago. His dad whines about how he has a chance to go to France to study and how he can't properly raise Misaki. The next day, Misaki's local team has a match in which Mitsuru shows up, but others taunt him to go back since he skips practice due to his mom. Mitsuru gets benched while Misaki's team scores 3 goals in the first half. During the break, Misaki asks his teammates to let Mitsuru play and he eventually gets switched in when another player gets a sprain. Mitsuru's mom comes to drag him away, but Misaki's dad asks her to let him play what he likes the most. On the field, Misaki helps Mitsuru play and even scores 1 goal. Later, Misaki heads to Yokohama with his dad to meet his mom. When they reach her home, Misaki notices his mom talking with his new sister and he decides to stay with his father instead and to go to France with him. In the present, Misaki's father observes Misaki's old soccer friends gushing over him while Katajiri announces the new lineup with Tsubasa as the new captain. He advises Misaki to observe the game in the first half. Japan and Italy's youth teams line up for the opening match and all of Italy's members stare at Tsubasa as if he has horns. Zeno vows to stop Tsubasa's drive shot and the match begins with Italy's kickoff. Italy's team passes the ball between each other with accurate passes, and soon one of their players attempts to score a goal, but Wakashimazu stops the ball. The ball is passed to Tsubasa, who finally gets a chance to flex his main character skills. He rushes through everyone, but soon two players tackle him roughly and he collapses. Italy's team gets a foul, and up next Tsubasa begins dribbling again, but one player kicks his leg, which earns their team another foul. Hyuga then passes the ball to Tsubasa, who rushes towards the goal, but someone tackles him from behind and Italy's team earns another foul. Tsubasa gets a free kick and Italy's defenders all jump just when Tsubasa is about to kick, but Tsubasa lets Matsuyama kick instead, and Matsuyama then makes his eagle shot. Zeno stops his shot with one hand and throws the ball back at Tsubasa to taunt him. Tsubasa then makes his eagle shot, but Zeno stops it with one hand and then with his second hand as well because the shot is too powerful. Italy's team then tries to score, but Tsubasa intercepts one of their passes and rushes towards the goal. Hyuga follows him and he gets through the defenders by making a feint pass to Hyuga. Once he is near the goal, he passes the ball to Hyuga, who quickly makes a non-trap shot, but Zeno grabs the ball and stops them from scoring once again. Up next, Nida gets the ball and tries to score, but Zeno also stops his shot. Jito then bulldozes his way through Italian players and the ball gets passed to Soda, who tries to score, but for the 100th time Zeno stops his shot as well. Turns out that Zeno has stopped all goals in the current season, and the last one who could score a goal on him was Schneider. The first half ends and Tsubasa notices that Italy's team seems awfully calm. In the second half, Italy's players all go on offense mode and rush to score the goal, but Soda steals the ball from them and the ball is passed to Tsubasa and Hyuga, who have rushed ahead. The defenders don't block their attacks, but Zeno rushes ahead and grabs the ball with his hand. He then kicks the ball back to his team, who makes passes between each other, and Wakashimazu then runs out to stop them. Italy's players make quick passes again to score the first goal then. Both teams clash against each other as Italy tightens its defense even more after scoring the first point, and Italy's players once again coordinate together to make their shot. Wakashimazu stops the ball. He throws the ball back at Tsubasa, who attempts to do a drive shot again, but Zeno stops his shot once more. Tsubasa wonders what he should do, and just then Misaki gets switched in. They both coordinate together perfectly as if no time has passed between them. Misaki's father recalls how Misaki rejected a club scout's offer because he wanted to play with Japan's team. Misaki trips on Italy's player but manages to pass the ball to Tsubasa, who jumps up to make his overhead shot, so Zeno jumps towards him. Tsubasa uses his overhead shot to pass the ball to Misaki, so Zeno jumps towards him next, and Misaki instead passes the ball back to Tsubasa, who scores the first goal. Italy's team changes their strategy to fortify their defense even more, but Takashi manages to steal the ball and he passes it to Hyuga. Hyuga then passes it to Tsubasa and Misaki rather than taking a shot himself, but ultimately Zeno catches the ball by jumping above. Hamburg's team discusses that a famous goalie is coming to the tournament who is famous for not giving up on any goal. The game continues and Italy tries hard to find an opening, but Japan's defenders don't let them through. With a few minutes left, Tsubasa gets the ball and passes it to Misaki, who tries to score, but Zeno just grabs the ball and passes it back to his team. Italy's team then launches the counterattack, but Japan's defenders block all their attacks and Wakashimazu then throws the ball over to Tsubasa again. Misaki and Tsubasa rush to score with lightning speed as they keep passing the ball between them, but Italy's player kicks Misaki down. Tsubasa rushes ahead alone and does an overhead shot, but as expected Zeno stops the ball. The ball goes back to Tsubasa, who then makes another powerful shot, but once again Zeno stops him. With a few seconds left, Hyuga rushes in and makes his powerful Neo shot that Zeno struggles to block, and it ultimately goes in. The match ends with Japan as the winner, and Zeno also apologizes to the team for refusing to play with them. The audience praises Japan's team, and Roberto, who is in the audience, refuses to meet Tsubasa. Misaki meets up with his friends and his teammates tease him about his female friend named Azumi, while Ishizaki teases Tsubasa about Sanai. Next up, Germany plays against Canada and wins against them as Schneider scores a hat trick. In the next match of Uruguay versus Belgium, a player named Valentino from Uruguay also scores another hat trick and wins the match. The next match of France and England starts, in which right off the bat, Pierre dominates the match with his excellent footwork. He runs around all the players while another forward player named Napoleon, who is benched, argues with his coach about being on the roster. Pierre passes the ball to his teammate, who tries to score, but the ball goes over the crossbar. England's team launches their own counterattack and soon they manage to score their first goal. France's team begins panicking since the pressure from their hometown is a lot, and Pierre then steals the ball ball away. He rushes ahead and tries to score by himself, but England's team captain Robson blocks his shot. England's team goes on offense mode again as they easily bypass French players, and just when one player attempts to score, Pierre blocks his shot by running to defend from the midfield. Napoleon is switched inside and he instructs Pierre to pass to him. They both rush to attack, and at the end, with the help of Pierre's pass, Napoleon scores the first goal. The second half starts with Napoleon coordinating with Pierre once again to score another goal, and Pierre decides to let Napoleon be the scorer while he can focus on being the playmaker. The match continues, and at the end Napoleon scores one more goal. The French team wins the match against England, and Tsubasa feels excited to see so many amazing players at the world level stage. On the second day, Germany defeats Portugal with a 3 minutes lead in which Schneider makes another hat trick. Up next, Uruguay wins their match against Spain with Valentino's help, while England wins its match against Costa Rica. Argentina then plays its match against Italy, but Zeno gets benched because 2 of his fingers were broken in the match with Japan. Meanwhile, Roberto's Brazilian team also wins a local match somewhere else. A man congratulates Roberto on his team's win, and Katagiri comes to meet Roberto as well. He tells him that he knows Roberto coaches a Sao Paulo boys team, so Roberto requests him not to let Tsubasa know that he is in Paris. He explains that he has lost the right to meet Tsubasa, but Tsubasa gave him the will to live even though he was drowning in alcohol due to his own personal issues related to his eyesight. He recalls how he met Tsubasa in the beginning and how he became his coach, but later he gave up on him because he wanted to keep him with his family, due to which he left him in Japan and went back to Brazil by himself. Roberto comments that Tsubasa seems to have made progress even without his coaching, and that his co-workers even showed him a video of Tsubasa playing soccer in one of the national matches. Katagiri tells Roberto that Tsubasa thinks he left him behind because he wasn't good enough, and due to this reason, he set a goal for himself to win consecutively for 3 years in national matches. He tells him that Tsubasa won all the matches in the past 3 years and that he is moving to Brazil after middle school, so Roberto should definitely coach him. Argentina wins the match against Italy with a 5 points lead thanks to their ace Juan Diaz, and Diaz tells the reporters that he hopes to play against Tsubasa soon too. Sanai watches the recording of the Japan vs Italy match while Mikami learns that his team members are all missing from their rooms. In the meanwhile, the boys all gather in the stadium and they all discuss how they want to defeat the other teams and win the tournament to raise Japan's name. They all return with renewed spirit, and the next day France defeats Costa Rica while Japan's team prepares to face Argentina. When the Argentinian ace Diaz is a child, he plays soccer with a tin with his street friends and even stops a thief from escaping by kicking the tin at him. In the present, Mikami tells the team that they need to win the game to go to the next bracket of the tournament, and in the audience people speculate that Argentina is bound to win due to their Diaz. Before the match starts, Diaz tells Tsubasa that he knows about his tricks which he learned from Roberto, and that Roberto has actually come to watch the match too. The match begins, and right off the bat Diaz steals the ball from Tsubasa in midair. He then coordinates with his childhood friend Pascal, and they both use combo moves to rush ahead towards the goal. Their splendid combo moves allow them to bypass everyone, and Diaz finally scores a goal. The team launches a counterattack, but Argentinian players steal the ball from Hyuga. Tsubasa rushes to face Diaz, but Diaz simply passes the ball around and rushes ahead. He then scores the second goal, and Wakabayashi yells at his team to get their heads in the game. Misaki tells Tsubasa not to rush, and the game resumes as Misaki dribbles across the field. Diaz takes him on and easily steals the ball from him. Tsubasa faces him next, but Diaz easily slips the ball between his legs and makes a long-distance drive shot which scores the third goal for Argentina. Tsubasa tells his team not to worry, and up next he rushes ahead to face Diaz again. They both clash as Tsubasa tries to outsmart Diaz by doing a feint move, and they both kick the ball together. The ball gets retrieved by Misaki, who rushes ahead, and Tsubasa and Misaki coordinate together to bring the ball near the goal. Tsubasa then starts to make his drive shot, so Argentina's players stand in formation to tackle his shot, but Tsubasa instead passes the ball to Hyuga, who makes his powerful tiger shot without trapping the ball. The ball goes in the net and Japan earns its first goal. In the next play, Diaz easily dribbles past all the players, so Tsubasa goes to stop him, but he slips past Tsubasa too. Misaki manages to intercept a pass, and Jito sends a long pass to Nida, who performs a volley, but it hits the post. Tsubasa keeps Diaz in check in the next play, which helps Wakashimazu save the goal, and he passes back to Tsubasa. He and Diaz fight for it, and Tsubasa manages to give the possession to Japan. Misaki gets the ball and passes it to Tsubasa, who passes it forward, and twins launch a combo move with Jito to jump to the ball. They unleash a twin shot and Japan secures the second goal. They both end up hitting the post and the first half ends. They get subbed out and Tsubasa and Diaz battle again in the second half, but the ball goes loose as they perform identical skills. Japan gains possession and Izawa passes to Misaki, who sends a high pass to Tsubasa, but Diaz manages to stop him as they both use the same moves. The keeper clears the ball and Argentina launches a counterattack, so Japan tries to stop them, but Argentina keeps getting the loose ball. Diaz unleashes a drip shot shot but Wakashimazu narrowly chops it away and the ball goes to Argentina again. Diaz attempts again but Wakashimazu stops him all by himself and Japan gets the ball again. Hyuga gets blocked so he passes to Tsubasa but Diaz performs the same skill. Tsubasa passes to Misaki mid-clash and Misaki lands a volley which ties the score. Diaz goes on a solo attack but Misaki and Tsubasa steal it from him but Argentina's aggressive defense prevents Japan from moving forward. After several blocks, the keeper finally manages to clear the ball which goes to Diaz and he dribbles past 8 players one after another. He comes face to face with Wakashimazu and jumps over him before scoring a goal which gives them the lead. Japan does not give up thanks to Tsubasa's encouragement and Tsubasa and Diaz come face to face again. He leads a combo with Misaki and passes to Matsuyama which leads to a one-on-one between him and Diaz. He saves the ball from getting stolen using his knee and sends an eagle pass to Tsubasa who sends a drop kick pass to Hyuga. He uses all his strength and unleashes a new tiger header which equalizes the game again. Roberto thinks about how Tsubasa has exceeded all his expectations and Tsubasa and Diaz come face to face again. Tsubasa manages to block him but the ball goes to Pascal who tries to score but Wakashimazu catches it. Japan launches a counterattack and Misaki sends a quick pass forward to Nida who volleys it to Izawa in front of the goal. Izawa tries to score but the keeper stops it and Argentina goes on offense this time as the stadium goes wild. Out of nowhere, Jun gets subbed in for the first time which surprises everyone. Tsubasa recalls the first time he met Jun and how he learned about his heart condition right before their match against each other in which Jun performed the overhead kick. After that match Jun promised him that they will play together one day and they recall it in the present. Jun steals the ball from Pascal as soon as the match begins and he easily dribbles past the Argentinian players using the knowledge he gained while being a coach. Misaki recalls Jun's game intelligence that he displayed when they played 3 years ago and Yayoi recalls how they learned he could play soccer again so he kept practicing all the time. In the present, he controls the game using his passes and he passes to Hyuga who recalls how Jun almost beat him 3 years ago despite his heart condition. He sends a header back to Jun who sends it back to Tsubasa. Diaz blocks Tsubasa's shot but Jun predicts it and lands an overhead kick on the loose ball which goes into the goal. Japan secures the lead thanks to his genius plays and only 2 minutes remain in the match. Diaz hypes up his teammates to launch an aggressive attack so they can tie the game while Tsubasa motivates everyone to defend with all their strength. As the match resumes, Diaz launches a drive shot from the half line but Wakashimazu does not let it pass through. All the Argentina players go on offense as Japan tries to clear the ball but Argentina keeps stopping them. The ball goes back and forth between the two teams and Diaz manages to take it from Matsuyama. Tsubasa tries to stop him but Pascal blocks his path which allows Diaz to go through so the defenders create a wall in front of him. He shoots a curve ball to the corner opposite to Wakashimazu and Jito launches Ishizaki towards it who manages to head it out. The final whistle blows which secure Japan's win and the whole team celebrates their hard-earned victory. Diaz gets shocked that he lost but he consoles his teammates and asks Tsubasa to swap uniforms with him. They exchange shirts and Diaz wishes him good luck as they both recall how the other was the best player they have ever met. Pierre thinks about how he will finally get to settle things with Misaki in the next match and even the news reports the upcoming match between France and Japan. All the people back home watch this news and prepare to cheer for their friends and even Mr. Ozora learns about Japan's victory against Argentina. Tsubasa talks to Sanai on video call and she is about to confess her feelings when Ishizaki starts teasing her which makes her run away. The next day, Misaki tells Tsubasa that Roberto is coaching a junior team from Brazil that has not lost a single match and is currently in Paris. He further reveals that the junior team will be playing its last match on the morning of the same day as their semi-final match against France and will be leaving in the afternoon. Tsubasa thinks about how he wants to meet Roberto and meanwhile on the other side, Team Germany gets a new goalkeeper that finally lands in Paris. On the morning of the semifinals, Pierre has a posh breakfast with his parents before heading out for the stadium on foot. On the way, he thinks about how he will beat Misaki no matter what and make sure that France wins the tournament. Team Japan arrives at the stadium and Tsubasa tells Misaki how he really wants to see Roberto but winning the match comes first. He says that he will be able to meet Roberto one day if he keeps playing and Pierre greets them before they head into the stadium. The first semi-final match between Germany and Uruguay begins first and Schneider shouts at Wakabayashi to play in their match against France otherwise they will lose which makes Wakashimazu furious. The match begins and Uruguay scores the opening goal in 50 seconds thanks to Valentino's diving shot. Germany's new keeper named Muller pops the ball in hand while watching from the sidelines and almost rushes on the field until the coach stops him. On the other side, Roberto's junior team wins its last match and Argentina's coach reveals to him that he is planning to scout Tsubasa for a pro-Argentinian team because he cannot let his talent go to waste. He questions why Roberto did not take him to Brazil 3 years ago and he heads off after saying that he will formally invite Tsubasa after the match. Back at the stadium, Germany leads the attack and the ball goes to Schneider, who instantly scores with his fire shot. Wakabayashi explains that it's called the fire shot because it always releases some smoke due to its high rotation, which generates a lot of friction. Valentino and Schneider comes face to face in the next play and Valentino passes him using combo play before scoring the second goal. In the next play, they come face to face again, but Valentino falls to the ground as Schneider passes by him and he easily dribbles past several players before scoring another goal with his fire shot. Valentino does not step down and dribbles past several players in the next play until he finally gets fouled by a German defender. Müller gets subbed in right before Valentino takes the free kick and he tells the wall to leave the goal open. Valentino takes the free kick, but he catches it with a single hand and throws it to Schneider, which leads to another goal for Germany after a few passes. The first half comes to an end and Wakabayashi reveals how Müller once stopped an entire pro team all alone. The second half begins and Germany takes full control as they score 3 consecutive goals to secure their place in the grand finale. Before the next match between Japan and France begins, Wakabayashi advises Wakashimazu to keep an eye on Napoleon's shot as they spin a lot, and Wakashimazu wonders why Wakabayashi still has not tried to play in a single match. Both teams step onto the field and France takes the kickoff. Napoleon starts the attack by passing to Pierre, who jumps up to avoid Hyuga's tackle, but Misaki stops him in the air. The ball goes loose and Tsubasa instantly steals it. Outside, Roberto gets off of his bus and decides to send his team back without him. Inside, Tsubasa dribbles through several players and sends a back pass to Misaki right before Napoleon can tackle him. The ball goes to Hyuga, who sends a tiger pass to Tsubasa and he scores a volley shot to give Japan the lead. Pierre leads a combo attack with Napoleon in the next play and he shoots his special slider shot, which changes direction right before Wakashimazu catches it, which ties the score. Napoleon suddenly starts fighting with Soda for tackling him and the referee gives them both a yellow card, so Pierre scolds him. In the next play, Tsubasa and Misaki use their combo play to bypass the defense and Tsubasa unleashes Pierre's slider shot that he just saw, but it hits the post. Pierre gets shocked how Tsubasa was able to imitate his special move and the duo begins attacking again. Hyuga gets the ball but Pierre steals it from him, so Misaki tries to steal it back and Pierre defeats him too. Tsubasa tackles him and the ball goes loose, but Pierre manages to pass it to Napoleon. Soda's elbow hits his face accidentally while trying to defend and Wakashimazu catches the ball, but the referee gives Soda another yellow card, which makes it 2. France gets a penalty kick and Soda refuses to leave the pitch, so Tsubasa tries to formally object to the ruling, but he also gets a yellow card due to it. Soda finally steps off the field after seeing this so that Tsubasa does not get ejected too, and Pierre steps up to take the penalty kick. He scores a goal as Wakashimazu jumps toward the wrong direction, but the boys don't lose hope. Misaki starts the attack in the next play, but Napoleon sends him flying through a push, but the referee does not call a foul and Hyuga manages to take it back. He leads a triple attack with Tsubasa and Misaki before finally using his tiger shot to score, but the referee calls an offside. Pierre launches a sudden attack while Hyuga protests and they reach the opposite goal where another player takes a shot, but Wakashimazu narrowly deflects it. Napoleon shoots the loose ball into the net, which brings the score to 3-1. The French side fully exploits Soda's absence and Izawa tries to fill the gap, but Napoleon hits another header towards the goal. Wakashimazu catches it and throws it ahead to Hyuga, who gives a high pass to Misaki, but Pierre blocks him from scoring. The ball goes loose and Tsubasa performs his iconic overhead kick, which narrows the gap to a single goal. The referee calls it another no goal because it was too dangerous due to the number of players around Tsubasa, and Pierre launches another sudden attack. Misaki and Tsubasa steal the ball from him and Tsubasa uses his rage at the referee to dribble past all the defenders before scoring a solo goal. The referee blows the first half whistle right before the ball goes into the net, which makes it another no goal. The whole team gets angry, but Tsubasa tells them to use it on the field and Mikami tells them that he will be submitting a formal complaint against Soda's red card. It suddenly starts raining and Roberto and June recall the rainy matches that Tsubasa played. The second half begins with the duo launching an attack and Tsubasa passes to Hyuga, but Pierre calls the defenders forward, which gives Hyuga an offside. France launches an attack but Wakashimazu manages to stop it, so the duo begins another joint attack. Misaki and Pierre enter a one-on-one battle and Pierre comes out on top, but Sorimachi passes the ball to Tsubasa, who passes it to Hyuga instead of shooting. Hyuga uses his tiger shot and scores a goal which the referee cannot say no to. Pierre leads the attack again, but he dribbles past Tsubasa and Misaki this time and even passes by Hyuga, but Wakashimazu manages to catch his slider shot this time. He passes to Ishizaki, who loses the ball and Napoleon takes a shot after hitting Izawa away, but Wakashimazu narrowly deflects it, so he shoots it into the net on the next try. The referee calls it a no goal due to aggressive play, but Izawa gets injured, so June gets sent in his place. Tsubasa gets the ball and engages in a one-on-one against Pierre, but Pierre wins it. He passes to Napoleon, but offside gets called as June sends the defenders forward. Tsubasa heads towards Pierre again, but he manages to win it this time and scores the equalizer with his drive shot. France starts attacking again and Wakashimazu catches another shot by Napoleon, but his injury that Schneider gave him starts acting up. The ball goes back and forth between the two teams until Tsubasa gets it and he passes to Misaki after jumping over two defenders. Misaki and Tsubasa pass back and forth and Pierre manages to read it, but he slips due to the mud. Misaki passes it forward to Hyuga, but the ball gets stopped in a puddle and Napoleon takes it back as France launches another counterattack. Napoleon and Pierre pass back and forth as they leave the defenders behind one by one, and Misaki recalls how the two are perfect at passing, which makes it an ultimate passing attack. Misaki reads the pass and tries to intercept it, so Napoleon passes it back without trapping it. They leave him behind two and Jun acts as the last line of defense before the goal as he directly clashes against Pierre. The ball goes into the air and Pierre heads it to Napoleon, so Wakashimazu starts running too to intercept it. They both rush to the ball and Napoleon takes a shot, but it hits the post after hitting Wakashimazu's hand. Pierre appears out of nowhere and shoots the ball that was deflected off of the post into the net, which gives France the lead again as only 5 minutes remain till the match ends. Their coach thinks about how they were planning to save the slider shot and the pass attack called the Eiffel attack for the finals, but Japan was stronger than they expected. The game resumes and Tsubasa dribbles the ball, but the puddle ruins it, so he quickly passes it. The ball stops in the middle due to mud and France clears the ball, but Tsubasa soon gets the ball again. He decides that passing is not going to work in the bad pitch condition, so he tries to take a long drive shot, but Napoleon barely stops it. The ball goes to Hyuga, who thinks the same, but the defenders lock him down, so he quickly passes back to Matsuyama, who performs an eagle shot, but Pierre deflects it outside the field. The twins get subbed in and they launch a combo attack with Jito as soon as they enter, but Pierre stops their twin kick. He assumes that they have won, but Misaki starts dribbling all alone in the ruined pitch as the referee keeps looking at his watch. He comes face to face with Pierre and passes it behind him while running, which allows him to pass by Pierre as he was already running. He performs a sliding shot and Napoleon stops it, but Tsubasa pushes it from behind. The ball goes into the air and Misaki shoots a volley into the net, but the whistle blows at the same time. The referee announces that the goal was good and the game heads into extra time. Mikami realizes that he is out of substitutions and he warns Jun to be careful during the extra time as he cannot sub him out. Tsubasa explains that the whole team will focus on defense except Hyuga, and both teams step back onto the pitch. France takes the kickoff and Napoleon and Pierre instantly launch the Eiffel attack, so Tsubasa and Misaki step forward to block them. Napoleon tries to pass over Misaki, but Tsubasa appears from behind and takes the ball. He passes it to Hyuga, who dribbles forward and gets injured by a triple tackle, but the referee does not notice the foul due to the water. Pierre gets the ball and Misaki stops him, but the ball goes to Napoleon, who blows past Jun. He takes the shot and Wakashimazu stops it once more, but his hand starts bleeding again. The boys don't lose hope despite the injuries and Tsubasa and Misaki unleash a twin shot, but it ends up hitting the post. Pierre gets the ball again and Jun and Wakashimazu decide that they will stop the goal even if they cannot recover from their injuries. France manages to breach the defenses and Pierre unleashes a slider shot, but Wakashimazu stops it despite the bloody hands. Jun clears the ball, but France continues to attack as the boys desperately defend. Jito clears it wide, but the ball goes to Napoleon, who unleashes a powerful shot, but Hyuga comes running from the front. He shoots the fast-coming ball with all his strength and the rebound helps him shoot his most powerful shot yet, which goes into the French net, but the referee blows the halftime whistle right before he shoots, so this goal also goes to waste. The first half of the overtime ends, and during the short break, both coaches motivate their teams to win the match. The second half begins, in which Tsubasa and Misaki rush towards the other team while all French forward players also rush towards them. Tsubasa passes the ball to Hyuga, who is also available at the last second, and he rushes ahead, but Pierre runs towards him to block him. Pierre manages to steal the ball from Hyuga, whose injury starts to act up at the last second. French players all run ahead, and just when the ball is thrown in front of the goal, Wakashimazu jumps up and knocks it away. The French player falls on top of him, hurting his injured right hand even more, and Matsuyama then blocks the ball when it's hurled at the net. The French players try to score once again, but this time the Tachibana twins stop the ball, and up next Pierre gets the ball. He makes his shot, but suddenly Wakashimazu gets up and deflects the ball. Jun then sends the ball back to Tsubasa, who rushes ahead with Misaki for his counterattack. He dribbles past the players, and when the field starts to get too muddy due to rain, he starts dribbling on the right side of the field. Just when the goal comes near, the French players start surrounding him and he makes a drive pass to Misaki, which goes above the defender's head. Misaki prepares to shoot, but when he sees Pierre rush at him, he makes a back pass to Hyuga instead, who makes his shot. Pierre jumps in front of him and blocks his shot. The The French team launches their own counterattack and rush to goal. One of them attempts to score but Hyuga blocks his attempt. Both teams struggle hard to push through but finally the final whistle rings announcing the end of the match. With both teams having equal score, the match goes into a penalty shootout in which 5 players from each team get a chance to make their shot. Pierre steps forward next and scores a goal which Wakashimazu fails to defend. Up next Hyuga steps forward and despite his foot's injury, he makes his tiger shot that goes into the goal. The second French player goes next and this time Wakashimazu manages to block his shot but due to his injured hand, the ball still goes inside. Matsuyama takes his turn next and scores a goal with the help of his eagle shot. The third French player comes forward next and once again scores a goal on Wakashimazu's right side which is his weak point. Misaki takes the stage next and he reminds himself that he wants to play for Japan for the rest of his life with Tsubasa and the others. He easily scores a goal as well and up next the fourth French player comes forward. Wakashimazu jumps to the right to anticipate his goal but the player instead kicks to the left and scores a goal. From Japan's side, Jun steps forward next despite his heart injury and he somehow convinces himself that his heart becomes stronger the more he plays. He then scores a goal as well and Napoleon steps forward from the French side. He makes his powerful shot but this time Wakashimazu does a karate chop with his injured, almost dead right hand and blocks his attack. The Japan team celebrates while Tsubasa steps forward as the last shooter. He tells himself that the ball is his friend and scores the last goal due to which Japan finally wins the semi-finals match. The French players console Napoleon who is whining about being a loser and Pierre and Misaki exchange jerseys. The Japan team thanks the audience for all their cheering and later they tell Soda about their success as well. Afterwards the Japanese team practices for the finals and in Japan, the managers scold the Nankatsu team for slacking off but they explain that they are resting in order to watch the youth final match. The team coaches discuss how they should proceed without the injured players and what they should do about Wakashimazu since he cannot play at all. They then gather all the players and suddenly Wakabayashi comes to hand some information over to them. The information contains all the stats on German youth players and he sends the players all the information too. Mikami then announces the starting lineup for the finale match and Soda gets switched in along with Wakabayashi. He explains that the authorities have removed the second yellow card objection from Soda on their request and that there's no one else besides Wakabayashi who can play now at this stage. Hyuga also comes to defend him and he tells the team that Wakabayashi was acting badly on purpose for the team's sake. Wakabayashi agrees to play for the team and the team celebrates. Later Germany's team prepares to depart for the match while Schneider wonders whether his family members will come or not. Munich's coach finds Schneider's dad and they both discuss how his dad was actually Munich's dad some time ago but due to a trouble with one of the players, he was terminated and how things must have been hard for Schneider himself due to such a scandal. The Munich coach named Forster then asks Schneider's dad to become a coach by joining his Munich's team and he agrees. They both head to the stadium where the teams have already arrived and the show starts with a fireworks show and a fancy aerial show. Soon both teams arrive on the field and the starting lineups get announced. The crowd begins chanting for Tsubasa and Wakabayashi also steps in as a goalie which surprises the German team. Both teams are announced and the Japan team gathers to have one last moment. Wakabayashi reminds the team again and again that they need to strongly mark Schneider and all the passes to him since he can only stop about 50% of the shots from Schneider from outside the penalty area. He also compares Misaki and Tsubasa to Karl and Heine since the German duo is formidable too and Katajiri thinks about how the Japan team will make Japan proud. The match begins as Schneider takes the ball and passes it back to Franz who is the playmaker of the game. He rushes ahead while Franz rushes towards Tsubasa to bypass him. Misaki rushes ahead in front of Tsubasa and takes on Franz. Following Wakabayashi's instructions, he steals the ball from the left side of Franz since he knew he would move there and the ball is passed to Tsubasa who rushes through the midfielders including Kaltz. He and Misaki reach the defenders and just when the defender tackles him, he passes the ball to Misaki. A defender tackles Misaki too and hits his foot but Misaki manages to pass the ball to Tsubasa who evades the defender coming at him. Tsubasa then passes the ball to Nida who passes it to Hyuga and Hyuga then makes his shot but the goalie Muller grabs the ball and throws it back to his midfielder. The ball goes to Franz but Misaki takes it away from him and passes it to Tsubasa. Since the other forwards are blocked, Tsubasa decides to make his drive shot himself but he gets intimidated when he sees the goalie Muller. He still makes the shot to find the goalie's weakness but Muller easily blocks his shot by punching it down with one hand and he then throws the ball back at Japan's players to test them out. Nita makes his shot next in anger but Muller blocks it and throws it back to the team again to taunt them. Matsuyama runs ahead from the defense side and makes his eagle shot but once again his shot gets blocked too. The ball is thrown to Japan's team again and Soda makes his curve shot next, but Muller blocks this too. Hyuga comes to kick the ball and Muller blocks Hyuga's kick with one hand as well. Muller notices that two defenders Matsuyama and Soda have run ahead, so he makes a long pass to Schneider, who prepares to make his shot. Wakabayashi then runs out and blocks him before he can make his shot and saves the goal. He then throws the ball to Matsuyama, who notices that Tsubasa is completely marked, so he passes the ball to Takashi, who passes it to Sano next. Sano then passes it to Misaki and German markers run to him, so Misaki passes the ball to Tsubasa, who runs towards the goal. Tsubasa takes his forward players with him towards the goal and he and Misaki bypass all the defenders easily. The ball gets passed to Hyuga, who cuts in from one side and he passes it to Tsubasa, but Tsubasa doesn't make a shot since he thinks Muller will just block his shot. Instead he rushes in even more forward and after passing all the defenders, he makes a shot under the armpit of Muller, but Muller still deflects the ball from his armpit. The ball goes in the air and Misaki makes an overhead kick, but once again Muller grabs the ball. Muller thinks about his teacher who is in the audience, while Schneider notices that his family has finally arrived in the stadium to watch his match. Muller throws the ball at Franz, but Schneider intercepts and takes it instead in the midfield. Japan's midfielders rush to stop him and Schneider simply dribbles the ball swiftly around all the players. He avoids Soda's tackle and even Matsuyama's midair block fails to stop him. He then makes his fire shot from a little outside the penalty area, but Wakabayashi manages to stop it. Schneider vows to show his family the first German goal, while Wakabayashi motivates his team by telling them that they did a good job. Schneider tells his teammates that Wakabayashi has informed the Japan team about their weaknesses, and up next Franz easily bypasses Misaki by moving the opposite of his normal routine. The ball is passed to Kaltz and he passes it to another forward player next, who makes his shot at the goal. Wakabayashi stops the ball and throws it back to the midfield, but German players easily intercept the move and steal the ball. The ball is passed around till it goes to Franz and he and Kaltz rush ahead, so Japan's midfield duo Tsubasa and Misaki also rush ahead to stop them. Misaki takes the ball from Kaltz and passes it to Tsubasa, who easily bypasses Franz. A German player then roughly tackles Tsubasa, hitting his foot, and Tsubasa assures his team that he is not injured. Japan's team gets a free kick and Muller tells his defenders to move out of the way to see the ball more clearly. Hyuga and Tsubasa both rush towards the goal and Tsubasa just kicks it forward, while Hyuga picks up the momentum and makes a neo shot. As expected, Muller stops the shot, although it manages to push him back a lot, and Hyuga tells Tsubasa that they may be able to make a goal between Muller's legs. Muller's coach recalls how he trained Muller by throwing 1,000 rocks at him in the mountains, and how Muller had to redo his training again and again whenever he would fail to stop a rock going between his legs, because that was his blind spot. His coach then trained him till he overcame his weakness by catching the rocks between his legs. In the present, Jito intercepts a pass and passes the ball to Tsubasa, who rushes ahead. He attempts to score a goal by kicking the ball between Muller's legs, and Muller manages to stop the ball, although the ball goes in the air. Tsubasa and Muller rush ahead and Muller then kicks the ball hard, which hits Tsubasa's face. Tsubasa falls down while the ball goes to the German side and it gets passed around till it reaches Franz. Misaki tries stealing it, but Franz jumps above and passes it to another forward player who butts heads with Jito. The ball ultimately goes to Schneider, who waits till he is behind Jito and he then makes his shot, which scores him a goal due to Wakabayashi's delayed response. Tsubasa then gets up and tells his team that the game is just starting. Tsubasa and Misaki lead the attack, but they are stopped by Franz and Kaltz, so Hyuga takes the ball from between, which surprises everyone. He unleashes his new Neo Tiger shot, but two defenders stop it with their body and Nita then picks the loose ball. He shoots the loose ball between Muller's legs on Hyuga's instructions. The ball goes through his legs, but Muller catches it from behind and throws it back to his team. Tsubasa steals the ball again and dribbles through several players before reaching outside the box with Hyuga. He and Hyuga get the same idea and they rush forward to make their synced attack, which combines the drive shot plus Hyuga's tiger shot. Muller recalls that in the past his coach made him stand under falling rocks and that he had to catch the falling 3 footballs as a part of his training. Muller caught all the balls, and in the present, he catches Tsubasa's and Hyuga's kicked ball as well. He makes a long pass to Schneider, who rushes towards the goal and the defenders rush forward to stop him. Schneider then jumps over Soda and passes around the other 2 defenders, but the defenders keep coming at him as soon as he crosses them. They surround him completely, so finally Schneider makes a pass to Franz, who rushes in from the side. Franz then attempts to goal, but Wakabayashi stops him and kicks the ball back towards Tsubasa. He rushes at the goal and this time Takashi rushes forward with Hyuga too. Takashi and Hyuga make their duo sync move, but rather directly making the shot, they use this shot to curve the ball to the right side and Misaki rushes in from one side to headbutt the ball inside. Muller blocks the ball with his one hand but Tsubasa also runs in and locks Misaki's legs with his own, giving him the push to push the ball inside the net and score a goal. Japan finally ties the score with Germany and Roberto recalls how he met Tsubasa when he was a child and how Tsubasa has grown into such an athlete over the time. He even starts thinking for the 100th time about how he betrayed Tsubasa by not taking him to Brazil, but still Tsubasa always followed his teachings and never gave up on him. Katajiri finds Roberto in the audience and asks him whether he will take Tsubasa to Brazil this time, so Roberto introduces him to another scout sitting with him. Roberto explains that he has made a bet with the scout that he will take Tsubasa to Brazil if Japan wins, but the Argentinian scout will take him to Argentina if Germany wins. Katajiri thinks that of course Japan will win, and on the field, Schneider steals the ball. He bypasses all the defenders and at the end passes the ball to his teammate who passes it back to him. Wakabayashi comes forward to stop him and he makes his shot which rips Wakabayashi's cap and hits the goal post instead. Wakabayashi's head starts bleeding and the first half ends. During the break, Muller's coach scolds him for underestimating his enemies and Roberto tells Katajiri to tell Tsubasa to never forget his entry on page 52. Wakabayashi gets treated and the teams gather in the locker room to discuss their strategy for the second half. Hyuga asks his coach to let him keep playing till the end and the others take a breather while the German coach scolds them for not playing very efficiently. Schneider reminds his whole team that they will definitely win for the sake of German soccer, and in the meanwhile, the people in the audience compliment Schneider's dad for his skills. Schneider's sister then goes to bring juice while his dad tells his mom about the offer to become a coach again. Things seem to go well between Schneider's parents, and meanwhile Misaki's friends tell his dad that Misaki hopes to say goodbye to everyone after the match. The boys head to the field and Katajiri tells Tsubasa to remember his notebooks, page 52. The second half begins with Misaki kicking off the ball and he passes the ball to Tsubasa, who recalls that Roberto's diary included the first 10 pages of the importance of being a midfielder while the next pages included the details of South American playing style. Kaltz then steals the ball from Japan's team and dribbles ahead. He bypasses a few players smoothly till he faces Misaki. He then passes the ball to another forward who passes it further to Schneider, who is in front of the goal. He unleashes a fire shot but Wakabayashi punches it out of the field. Germany takes the corner and Schneider shoots it again but the defenders block him. Franz shoots the loose ball but Misaki blocks it this time and Wakabayashi catches it. He passes to Takeshi but Germany instantly steals it and they try to score once more but Wakabayashi saves it again. They relentlessly attack during every play but Wakabayashi does not let a single ball through. Kaltz attempts a chip shot over Wakabayashi but he manages to deflect it at the last moment too. He passes to Tsubasa, who elegantly dribbles past the defenders and he even breaks away from Kaltz. He makes a drive pass to Misaki, who is in front of the goal, and Misaki volleys it but Muller manages to deflect it. Tsubasa and Schneider clash over the loose ball and they both fall back but Tsubasa manages to take it again. He tries to shoot but his leg goes numb, so he passes back to Hyuga, who unleashes a powerful Neo Tiger shot. Schneider tries to stop it but his leg goes numb due to the clash with Tsubasa too and the ball goes through him. Muller blocks the ball with his hand but it pushes his hand back before going into the net, which puts Japan in the lead. The match resumes and Ishizaki marks Schneider, which prevents Franz from passing it to him, so he passes to another player but Matsuyama clears it. The German players start losing hope but Schneider hypes them up and takes a direct fire shot towards the goal but Wakabayashi catches it. Germany steals the ball again but Japan continues to defend desperately as Misaki manages to steal the ball. He passes to Tsubasa, who tries to do a combo play with Hyuga but Kaltz intercepts the pass and Germany goes on offense again. Kaltz acts as the player maker and controls the passes between his teammates until he eventually passes the ball to Schneider, who is wide open. He unleashes a powerful fire shot but Ishizaki musters up courage and blocks it with his face. He falls to the ground as the ball goes into the air and Schneider tries to shoot again, so Tsubasa tries to tackle him but Schneider evades him. Tsubasa quickly jumps back to block it with his face but Schneider predicts it too and he unleashes a powerful shot which goes past Wakabayashi into the net. The score gets tied again but Ishizaki fails to get up and thanks Tsubasa for helping him come so far. Izawa gets subbed in his place and both teams get fired up to score the winning goal with only 7 minutes remaining in the match. Japan takes the kickoff but the ball goes loose after a tackle and Tsubasa and Schneider clash over it. Schneider gets the ball because he used both feet and uses all of his remaining strength to unleash a fire shot but Wakabayashi catches it. He sends a long pass to Hyuga, who performs a Neo Tiger shot and Muller uses his left hand to stop it because the right one got injured while trying to stop it before. He kicks the ball away and Tsubasa takes it, so Japan goes on offense. He jumps over two defenders and tries to evade Franz but Kaltz tackles him while he does so. The ball goes back to Germany and Tsubasa fails to get up, but Ishizaki cheers for him from the sidelines. Schneider gets the ball and he chips the ball over the defenders, which puts him face to face with Wakabayashi. He takes a delayed shot which causes Wakabayashi to jump early, but he mimics Wakashimazu's move and jumps back using the post. He stops the ball, but a German attacker tries to slide it, and so he uses his body to stop it. Wakabayashi gets a free kick and he passes the ball to Tsubasa with only a minute remaining. He passes to Misaki, who dribbles past several players, and he passes it to Hyuga despite getting injured. Hyuga lets the ball pass through to Tsubasa, who performs a jumping volley, but Schneider clashes with him and the ball goes into the air. They both do not give up and jump towards the ball again, but Tsubasa manages to reach it first as he shoots it towards the net before Schneider can block it. The ball goes over Muller, so they all assume it's going to miss, but it suddenly dives down as Tsubasa added spin to it while shooting. It bounces back after hitting the post and Tsubasa makes a low overhead kick which sends it into the net right before the final whistle blows. Japan becomes the champion and all the players rush to Tsubasa to celebrate their victory. All the players tear up due to the overflowing emotions and Schneider congratulates them on their victory. He tells Tsubasa that he will not exchange shirts with him yet as their battle has just begun and he will beat Tsubasa the next time they meet. The two exchange armbands and the closing ceremony begins. Germany gets their silver medal first and Schneider is declared as the top scorer of the tournament. They send Japan on stage with a round of applause and Tsubasa gets the golden medal first, but he is also announced as the MVP of the tournament for his excellent plays. The remaining players get their medals one by one as their achievements and performances get announced. The chairman of the tournament finally grabs the trophy and hands it over to Tsubasa, who holds it up to display their victory before the team stands together for a victory picture. After returning to the locker room, the German players cry their hearts out, so their coach consoles them and motivates them to work even harder in the future to take back the number 1 spot. Schneider goes out to cry alone, but his family suddenly appears to console him. His father reveals that he will be joining Munich as a coach and that he and Schneider's mother are getting back together, which makes him cry tears of joy. During the post-match interview, Tsubasa declares that he wants to play against all the strong soccer players in the world and that his generation will bring Japanese soccer to the top. Roberto encounters Katagiri, who gives him a staff card, so he runs to meet Tsubasa while recalling all the moments they spent together. He steps on the pitch so Tsubasa sees him, and the first thing he mentions is how he will go to Brazil after graduating from middle school. Roberto tells him how all of his plays were very good and asks if he can help Tsubasa in becoming the greatest player in the world. They both hug each other and soon Team Japan leaves for their home country, excluding Misaki, who stays behind. After returning, all the players return back to their schools as they enter a new academic year, and the third years retire from their teams to prepare for the high school entrance exam. Tsubasa stays behind as a coach as he does not need to worry about entrance exams and he helps his juniors practice. Tsubasa's secret admirer number 2, Kumi, decides to confess her feelings for him and she starts telling him everything from when and why she likes him. Tsubasa remains speechless, so she asks him if he likes someone else, which he says yes to, and she questions if that person is Sanai. He replies yes again, which makes Kumi cry in his arms, and he returns to class after that. He recalls how Kumi requested him to tell Sanai that he likes her, as Sanai has been holding back for a long time because she does not want to come between him and soccer, so he should be the one to say it first. Sanai watches Tsubasa train the juniors and Kanda suddenly grabs her hand. They go to the side and he returns her the cloth that she used to stop his bleeding before, but he suddenly confesses his feelings for her. She returns to the library where she tells everyone that he confessed to her, but she rejected him because she already likes someone else. Kanda barges in and says that he won't give up, so Ishizaki tells him to leave her alone. Kanda pins him against the book rack, but the boys stop Ishizaki from fighting back because they are still members of the soccer club. After school ends, they all meet up and Tsubasa also arrives, so they suddenly leave to give him and Sanai some alone time. On the way back, Sanai tells him about what happened during the day and he is about to confess his feelings for her, but his old language teacher interrupts them. The next day, Kanda challenges Tsubasa to a boxing match and Tsubasa accepts it after Kanda mocks his feelings for Sanai. Sanai catches them before the match and the coach shows the boys how Tsubasa resigned before leaving. They start fighting as Tsubasa just holds his guard, but he gets angry and kicks the corner, which makes the ring collapse. Kanda gives up and later, Tsubasa confesses his feelings to Sanai. On the other side, Misaki's father tells him that they are moving back to Japan as his football inspired him to paint Mount Fuji again. Back in Japan, the national middle school tournament begins again and Nita's Otomo High beats Nankatsu's juniors, which ends their 3-year streak. Hyuga tells the boys that Toho Academy will be winning the national championship under Takashi and that he will lead Toho to victory in the high school division next year. Ishizaki tells him that they will all be joining Nankatsu High and will defeat him. Wakabayashi gets an offer to go pro from Hamburg FC, and he makes sure to let them know that he will still be playing for the Japanese national team. In Japan, Tsubasa practices with a pro team too, and Misaki finally departs for Japan. He surprises everyone by suddenly joining their class, and time continues to fly by. Yayoi gets together with Jun and tells Sanai how he wants to be a doctor and a soccer player side by side. Matsuyama meets his manager Fujisawa again as she returns to Japan, and Hyuga spends his loner life practicing with Wakashimazu. Katajiri tries to get Tsubasa elected for Team Japan, but the other higher-ups say that they cannot rush with Tsubasa as he will continue to grow. He tells Tsubasa to continue aiming high, so Tsubasa decides to challenge Team Japan alone. He interrupts their practice match and starts heading for their goal, so the defenders try to stop him, but he easily dribbles past them all. The coach of Team Japan steps forward himself and stops Tsubasa from scoring the goal, but news soon spreads of Tsubasa's entry into the national team. Meanwhile, a match takes place between the Pro Hamburg and Munich team, in which Schneider scores a goal while Wakabayashi sits on the benches. He gets sent in and Schneider tries to equalize a score, but Wakabayashi stops him, which gives Hamburg the win. An international match between Japan and Paraguay takes place, but Tsubasa does not get selected in the starting lineup. In the first half, Paraguay scores 2 goals on Japan and another one at the start of the second half. The whole chance for Tsubasa, so the coach sends him in and he quickly steals the ball before scoring the first goal for Japan with his drive shot. He gets another chance after a few minutes with a free kick, and he scores another goal with it, which narrows the gap to a single point. In the next play, he unleashes an overhead kick which secures his hat trick on his international debut, but the match ends in a tie. Time goes by and soon the result for the entrance exams gets released, and Tsubasa decides to leave for Brazil the next day. He only tells Sanai about it and explains that he will want to come back if all the boys see him off. He heads out the next day with his ball, and his parents discuss that they will greet him the next time he comes with his soon-to-be-born brother. Tsubasa recalls all his memories while passing through Nankatsu, and Sanai sends him off after giving him new shoes as he gives her his precious ball. He finally arrives in Brazil and begins his training with Roberto again, which marks the start of a new journey. What difficulties will Tsubasa encounter, and will he make his dream come true? Comment your thoughts below and make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more sports content.